Me. All right, we're live with Booger Bear. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too,
All
buddy.
right. So yeah, you've been. What is this? Your fourth time on the show?
Yeah, third or fourth. It's
All right. We were just before we went live. I'm like, all right, we gotta plug it in before we get too far into talking about cool shit. It
yeah,
always happens. And if anybody's listening, let us know how the audio feed is, if you don't mind. Shoot me a text message if you know me, and there are any issues, please. So we were talking about Lee Syatt.
yeah. So,
So how did you meet up with him?
he went to an open mic venue and there in North Hollywood called Fourth Wall, and I was the Sunday host there. So I would host from 11 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, and every hour they do it in blocks, and every hour 10 more comics come in and do a different show, and I would just host the whole thing for like 11 hours in a row. So he would come through for that, and that's how I met him. So like I was talking about wanting to do a podcast with my roommate. It's like I got to hit him up because he would any questions that I have, like you, him, and my buddy Travis in Ohio are the only people I know that have like good successful podcasts. So
It's I took a little bit of a downturn just to kind of like I was so not frustrated, but like I wanted to for time.
mhm.
Like I'm not gonna have to edit this after we're done. I'm not
Okay.
gonna have to upload it.
Yeah.
Like so switching to the and too, I hired somebody, they texted me a second ago since we sat down, but I hired somebody to edit all my shit. Like
Mhm.
I do not have time for that. Like with as a matter of fact, I'm like, how do I have time to teach at the university? Like I've been off for like 10 days and I'm just like I got a lot going on, but like testing for my Superfoot black belt this weekend
Mhm.
and just getting my online classes ready, and we did stuff. We've signed up 40 fucking members
Oh hell yeah!
in
Congratulations, man.
May, and and we already had a crazy amount, and it's just like the parking lot, like all these like crazy factors. I'm like, how do I even get by? Like
Yeah.
going to the university, 20 to 30 hours a week, depending on what I got going. It's insane.
Still, that seems like a good problem to have.
Yeah, I got really no real complaints about it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like it's what's weird. I told this to my friend Jack the other day. I don't know if you ever met Jack Talker's been on the podcast, but I was like, dude, I'm just like in super uncharted territory. Like I did not.
He's
I
the
ca-
one that did the seminar about the
uh,
hidden jujitsu, right?
yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to have so like that dude is at fucking Maynard's from Tool today.
Really.
Like Maynard has his own gym now, and he has Jack and Eddie Fivey, these two dudes that I mean, I wouldn't swear to this, but arguably they have trained more than anyone with Hickson
Yeah.
since in the last you know in the last little bit. And I'm trying to have both those dudes in for a camp like August, but their jujitsu, like I've trained with a lot of people, and like I hadn't trained with Eddie. I've met him. He's been on the podcast. Eddie just like hit Hickson up out of the blue and was like, "Bro, will you do a seminar?" And like it was like the biggest seminar in North America or something,
Yeah.
right? It was like one of Hickson's first seminars back, I believe. He talked about it on the podcast. But dude, Jack is his stuff is amazing, right?
That my roommate is just recently gotten into jujitsu, and he trains at, I believe, West Side in Little Rock.
Yeah.
And we were like every now and then when we're hanging out and stuff, we'll roll and just kind of be dicking around. And I showed him that I believe it was Jack that when you turn your hips
Yeah,
in
dude.
guard,
We've been doing that.
yeah, like that's so simple, but it works every time.
Too, I learned some new ways from Jack to break posture.
Yeah.
The BJJ versus cancer videos are amazing. He put those out with Budo videos. But man, I mean, like, other than training with Hickson, like Jack is like the dude that has blown my mind
Yeah.
the most. I did 3 privates with him on Zoom, like right after the pandemic, and we've got some more scheduled. But I was like rewatching them because I recorded them, put them on YouTube, like a private link or whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is insane. Like, oh my god, like he has all the answers. Like he thought of everything. Like I mean, it's so action reaction based But it's just I was joking with him on the phone a couple of days ago. I'm like, yeah, people who say things like that about posture and guard are like hung up on whether their toes go in the mat or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people can't get into that posture because it's so detailed. Like everything has its place, and then you. But man, I started like he showed us in the sit up street camera about like raising my hips up off of my heels.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, it's crazy. Like when they really start pulling you down, if you raise up a little bit,
Yeah.
or like on the knee and center guard break, it's just I've linked so much of that stuff together. But
What's that like doing the Zoom one-on-ones? Because that seems to
yeah,
me, which I was just a white belt, so like I needed that physical connection
yeah, I
to really
know.
understand the details of what was going on.
That's the weird thing about this. So, like Jack and I are talking about this is like you said it, like Henry Akins, who ran Hicks's Academy, who's from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Um, he and Jack are talking about how there's got to be a better way than just like, hey, Bair, feel this real quick. Like, you
Yeah.
feel that? Like, and two, here's the difficulty. Even myself, like I'm almost 15 years in, first degree black belt, been a black belt for almost 3.5 years. Like, I'm like, okay, like it takes a highly trained eye to get this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can be a black belt trained eye and not fucking get what they're talking about
Mm-hmm.
because it's just like it's a feel, but you can get it without the feeling. It's like it can't just be the feeling. Like that's the big
Yeah.
debate.
I know with comedy, like when the pandemic happened, a lot of people had switched and were trying to do Zoom shows, and they were god awful.
Yeah.
They were just terrible because there's not that connection you have live in a crowd with the people. So you'll have people doing jokes, and then they're just waiting for laughs as if people were in the room, and it's just this awkward pause. And you also saw it on like the talk shows at night, like I don't know if Conan did it, but there was
Jimmy Fallon.
there's some
probably.
monologues where comics go up and they're doing these jokes to nobody and they're just waiting for the laughs, and it's so cringy, so awkward.
Okay, so yeah, so I had Sambo Steve on the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, I was even thinking, I'm like, man, I'm about to hit Sambo Steve up from just Zoom privates,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what do you think about Zoom privates? You know, and he's like, dude, fuck that. He's like, I don't, no. I need to be down there in the dirt with you, putting hands on you. Go here, and that's the frustrating part is I got all of the stuff I did with Jack. I made sure like we did 3 lessons just on guard,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was like, okay, I've learned all of this shit from him. All of it is in the Hickson book here.
Yeah.
See, Hickson refilmed all this Helio shit.
Okay.
Like this is his dad. Like this is what they call the master text. Look at Skeletor, old Helio right here, bro.
Yeah.
Doing a Ogoshi from judo on Horian. But this book is amazing. When it's out of print, it goes for like 300 plus.
Yeah.
You can get it in print for like $70 or used sometimes. They'll do a run on it. But Hickson refilmed all that shit when he first got back out on he disappeared for like 10 years. One of his sons died. Like a murder. Like,
That's tragic.
They found like Henzo found his body in like the morgue, like unidentified.
Damn.
Yeah. So into I'm sure there were other factors too. I don't know, but like Hickson just like went off the grid at that point.
Yeah.
And then like the whole time I was training, the dude's gone. Like all of his people that were like,
if there's anybody that could become Batman like that, it's Hickson.
Dude, what's crazy is like there's debate about like the time that he was gone about whether or not he was like even doing jujitsu, but he came back and he was like, we do it this way now. Like had like
That's
new ways, like people that trained with him before, like, oh, I never heard you talk about that.
Yeah.
But he just derives. And that's what I think, like kind of what it got us going down is working with Jack on those Zoom lessons. It's like, I can take what he's shown me. It's that little stuff that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, I remember that. And you can apply it everywhere. It's like, I've been telling students, I'm like, this sort of stuff, like for Danaher, they're huge on inside, what they call inside. Everything is inside position, inside. I think an underhook's an inside position,
Mhm.
but like they're like, yeah, so is this and this and this and this and this and this. You have to get this on this and this on this. All the guard pass and leg locks inside position, they don't work. Like they're going to get out in this way. This Hickson's all distribution of weight, posture.
Mhm.
So like when I'm talking, I'm like the things that Hickson or Donaher both really are about are like the thread that weaves this shit together. Like it pulls everything tight.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is like a cool thesis. It's like, oh yeah, if you have good posture, they can't like throw you.
Mhm.
They can't pick you up. They can't pull your head off of your like bend your back over. If you understand that, and then you can start applying it. Oh well, that's standing. That's on the ground. But distribution of weight, this concept he calls the middle of like, let's say if I had an underhook around your waist and we're both standing up and we're kind of teed up. They call it the T position a lot, right? You're about to step in front of them, hip throw them. Like if I can just keep posture and hips tucked in, just like that guard break here, you can't get away. You can't pull my head down. It's like something we work on all the time, but it's like that principle just goes on forever. Oh, they did get your head down. We'll just do this. Here's how you get you reposture.
Yeah.
Right. But this middle would be like me not getting pulled forward or kicked back while I'm holding you there. It's just like you try and pull me forward, I hip in that, like you were talking about, pelvic tuck the same amount, and you just nothing happens. So that's the difficulty. Is like, what happened? Nothing.
But there's little nuances
and you can't
about
you can't. You're seeing it, and you're like I remember training with Hickson. He was showing all this stand up stuff. I'm like, this is kind of like judo, you know. And I was just like, what'd you do there? I can tell he came over and worked with me a little bit on this particular stuff, but like it's a little thing like see your shoulder here, whoa, it's stuck to him, and that stops him from sucking your low back in when they have your body up. And I'm like, oh, I couldn't really tell that you were doing that when you're showing it. Like you cannot. That's the stuff that's like. But back to Jack and Eddie, it's like those dudes. I might not get a chance to have Hickson in or roll with him, train with him, go to his house, whatever, do a private, do another seminar. But those dudes can pass it on,
right?
Like, definitively. Like, not, and two, I would not want to really learn it from anybody other than Jack.
Yeah.
He's like truly, plus, like, he's a total bro. He knows Skrillex and all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like, just wild, but
it's cool when you're like developing a craft like that, something like jiu-jitsu that's a real craft that takes years and years, and you'll never be a true, like, you'll never know it all. Like, you're always constantly learning and updating what you do. And like when I'm around like 10-year 15-year headliners that are like coming to the loony bin and stuff like that and hear the way they talk about it, it's so cool to be around them, because in the same way, there's a lot of little nuances and stuff about what they're doing. And like everybody has their own way of doing it. Everybody has different jokes and the different way they get into things. But there are little fundamentals and nuances that you can watch somebody and be like, especially if you've been doing it for a while, you can be like, oh, they've got at least a decade under their belt.
Yeah, isn't that fascinating? Like it really is like that with jiu-jitsu, with I would even say teaching.
Yeah.
Anything. Comedy, podcasting,
anything that is like a skill that takes time to learn. I feel like it applies to all of it.
Dude, being a podcasting white belt was rough.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like this is like my purple belt right here.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm up for like once I get the streamer and get all that figured out, the switcher, I'll maybe be like almost a brown belt.
I look at it like that too with my stand up, because I'm like I'm a blue belt, almost purple belt. Like I'm almost featuring. Like I'm just like I need really 30 sharp minutes wall to wall funny so that I can feature on the road. Because I go on the road now and do a lot of MC work, and like I'll be able to headline some small stuff like at VFWs or some small bar shows or something. But to really get into clubs, I need a feature set, and I've got like 22 minutes right now, and I need 30. So like, all my goals are focused around that next 8 minutes, getting it tight so that I can.
Are you going to go see Joe Rogan in December in Tulsa? Do you know he's coming through?
I didn't. I've seen him in Houston. He's phenomenal.
I don't know if Chappelle's going to be with him on this one, but
Yeah.
Cora might even have got tickets yesterday. He was playing at the BOK Buck Center. I've seen some shows there, but man, I would love to go see him.
Oh, he's phenomenal. I watched him in Houston. There was 4,000 people. The cool thing is Frank Castillo opened for him, which Frank Castillo's a door guy at the store. And like meeting him out there and hanging out with him, he's cool as shit.
So you've been to the Comedy Store?
Oh yeah, I've been there. When I was living in LA, I was there every Monday, and then anytime I didn't have a set that night, we would just go hang out at the store.
Did you see Pauly Shore around there ever?
We'd see him, but like we never had any real interactions with him.
Dude, we watched Son-in-Law the other night.
Yeah.
Like, dude, and I joked with Jack after Pauly was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I'm like, dude, you remind me of Pauly Shore, bro, like big time. And it's part of it is like they have a similar, like, it's that sort of Southern California accent.
Yeah.
You know, but
Frank Castillo, 4,000 people. And like this is when they were still learning the phone lock thing where they give you a case that you lock your phone in so you can't be on your phone during the show.
Oh, wow.
And the theater had never done it before. So it was taking longer to get people set in. So people are still pouring into the theater I guess it's a theater. And Frank Castillo's on stage doing jokes. And so 4,000 people like buying beers, talking, trying to find their seat. And he's up there doing amazing. And then finally, when he gets done, the crowd's kind of sitting down. And then Rogan comes out and just levels the place. I mean, people tornado in their seats laughing. Because I was like, I think 6-7 months in at the time. And I just couldn't believe 4,000 people were all like hanging onto their seat. I was like, how is he doing this? It was cool.
Dude, I would love to see Uncle Joey, like Joey Diaz. Holy fuck.
Diaz, now the cool thing about Diaz is that like out there in LA, you could see him at a small room. And so you walk out there and watch him go up. It's just electric. So I saw Bill Burr at Flappers.
He's great.
It says like 200, like 2 something. And it was sold out. And because we worked there, we got to sit in the back of the room and watch. He walked in, and the cool thing about Burr was that he had people heckling him the whole set. But one thing I noticed is kind of one of those little small nuances that I noticed. Like when a young comic gets heckled, you can tell it fresh. You can see the frustration and the way they respond. They'll get angry. But Burr, it's as if he had written the heckle. He goes like he'll be doing his jokes. Somebody will heckle him. He'll make a punchline about it and then go right back into the joke he was telling as if he had written it. And that was one thing that I picked up watching him work was that like you can't let it phase you at all. Like, and that's another cool thing is like when you watch somebody at that level do something, it's like, oh, I need to get way better, and it makes you better, like because you see how much better you can get.
You ever get to have a side? I'm sure you have, but like with any of these people we're talking about, like people that are like, they're like 3rd degree comic black belts.
Vince Morris is one that when he came and headlined the Looney Bin, he's open for like George Carlin and Louis, and he's to this day, like I said, I've seen Burr live, I've seen Rogan live. Vince Morris is one of the funniest people I've ever seen live.
Do you get to talk to these people though? And like, I mean, how do you even? It's I would say a little different maybe in jiu-jitsu, but for history, like I bug the shit out of some old professors, But it's just like, how would you do this?
Right.
I mean, like, how do you have those type of interactions with them?
So like at the Looney Bin, the really cool thing about Vince was that like we all did guest spots there at the first of the week, so he'd kind of seen us go up, and he just after the show would just hang out and just talk to us and was real open, and we would start asking him questions. And with some comics, like when the headliner comes in, they're just up their ass and like, oh my god, I'm a comic too, just trying to because they're brand new. But the cool thing about Vince is that he didn't there wasn't any of that. He was just a comic, so he was just wanted to be around comics no matter whether they were a day in or 30 years in. And he just starts telling us stories, and we were asking anything we could think of. And he did 6 different shows and did 6 different hours.
That's insane.
Every night was a different hour.
Like how far do you think you are away from doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you have like, okay, I'm trying to come up with a headline.
Yeah, I'm 4 years in now. That is something that I don't think I'd be able to do at 12 years in, like to the level that he did it. Like it was like watching a master because he does it in the form of crowd work, but you can tell it's jokes that he's written. He just brings it up in conversation with the crowd. And then a lot of it was improv and on the spot. It was it was cool to see.
We talked about on one of the other podcasts, like, didn't you do the podcasting masterclass with, or maybe we just talked about it? Who did that?
I did the comedy master classes. I didn't do the podcast one.
Not podcasting, comedy. Sorry, with what's his name? The
Steve
banjo,
Martin,
the banjo guy.
Steve
yeah.
Martin, and then also Judd Apatow's got one on there too.
Oh, nice. You know, Ken Burns, the documentary filmmaker,
Mhm.
Martin Scorsese. Like, I've watched a little bit of what they do because, man, I just like we were talking about. I think before we started, like, I gotta up what I'm doing across the board, and I'm in the process. But like with the gym video, like I have 1,000 videos on the internet
Mhm.
between this podcast and in the gym, and I need to just continue to make refinements. It's always like, oh, like we just got to where everything's going up with the thumbnail.
Yeah.
You know, like, and two, like part of it's like, yeah, I want to get information out there or whatever, create a database, but like I pretty much am just filming stuff as we go along. Like, here's
Mhm.
what we're working on, boom, put it up. It's a resource for my students, but it's also a way like, dude, when I'm 50, 60, looking back, I have everything documented. Like we
Right.
started like really upping like databasing, uploading everything. Like whereas some people, like I've had even like one of my coaches at the gym be like be running a live stream and they're like, don't do that. And it's like, yeah, dude, there's some weird perceptions out there. And it's like quite, and I still think this. I'm like, I'm gonna dial it down a little bit and probably start to like I've been releasing a video a day for the gym, but I'm probably gonna do like a little more refined 3 videos a week type of a deal. But it's just like dialing in, like, okay, what content do I want? When do I want it to come out? What times? What are other people doing? And luckily, I've talked to a bunch of people on the podcast about all this shit, like jujitsu, Chewy. I mean, and you can kind of go and look and be like, I see what you did with all your thumbnails there. You used the same thumbnail template on these 300 videos.
Cool thing right now, what I've found out is because of the competition with TikTok, Instagram is really pushing reels. So if like I'll have jokes that I'll put out on TikTok and I'll put it on reels on Instagram and it'll get thousands of views. Whereas if I had just put it up, it'll get like maybe 90.
Where how long can video be?
I think 1 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
And so that would be like, especially like if you're trying to show like technique, you may do like, here's part of it, and then it has a link to see the whole thing.
See, and that's the sort of stuff like I need to dial in a little bit more. If I reduce the content I'm doing a little bit, I can go cross platform more. Like right now, I'm pretty much just popping it on YouTube and sharing it over. Like, here's the playlist for guard passing.
Yeah.
Be sure you check it out. And then talking to my editing guy, like, Howie, be sure that's got a thumbnail on that playlist and a description. Everything in the playlist has to have a thumbnail and a description. If we don't, let me know. I'll write this. But it's, man, just like that time crunch of like pushing shit out to other platforms. It takes a minute.
The one downside with comedy specifically is that here lately they've been really censoring certain jokes. So we'll have a joke that, and it's not, I don't think it's a person doing it. I think that it's some audio algorithm that it catches words and then just blacklists it, flags it without any context or nuance of what's in there. So like I've got this new joke that is I did a show for my buddy Trey Diesel. So he runs the Corporate Hustle Show. It's a radio show in Little Rock, and he produces a show at the Looney Bin, and it's sold out. And it's like 90% a black crowd. And I go up and I open with a joke about how I wish I had a black ass, which is for white people in the crowd. They're always like, oh my God, what's he doing? Because it's such a sensitive topic, like especially talking about race and everything. And that's part of being a comic, is towing that line and like going up, and everybody's like, okay, what are you doing? And then when it's a really clever, funny punchline, they're like, okay, now we're on board. And they trust you more because they're like, okay, he'll approach these subjects, but he's not going to say anything screwed up and like make us all regret being here. But I put that joke on, like I said, I was getting 3,000-4,000 views on my other stuff. Put that joke up that starts with black ass, I got 12 views.
Yeah,
And it's
there's
like,
definitely like, bro, I've had I've listened to like I'm dialing this in too, but if I'm listening, let's say we're listening to a vinyl
yeah,
on the podcast, like
Mhm.
I've had it go from the headphone only, it's not being recorded, into the mic through the headphone, like and it catch like it was Tool
Mhm.
on the new album, and it was like, hey, we fucking heard you doing that in the background. You will never make money on this video. Do you understand us? Don't even fucking reply unless you know that you're fucking right and we're wrong. Like it's like literally
Damn.
they're like you're getting scolded. We're like, we know what you fucking did.
Yeah.
But man, it's like that has to be, it's an algorithm. It's something auto that,
Mhm.
and like
And it
that's
sucks
bad for
because, like,
podcasters too, with like just saying shit. Like
yeah,
whatever it is.
it it's frustrating because, like, a lot of what I do, especially when I'm in Little Rock, like, there's Little Rock is so crazy. The comedy scenes are still very segregated, and it's not like, I don't think it's on purpose. I think it just so happens that it's still that way. So there's a very popular black scene, and then there's like the white clubs, and there's not a lot of mix. And it's a good thing about me and some of my buddies is we'll do any scene, we'll do any room, we don't care.
Is it like that just in the South? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
do you see this same sort of? I
in
mean,
LA, like, there was a lot of like Mexican rooms and Hispanic rooms. Oh shit, I may have just knocked the cherry out of there. My bad, man.
no worries.
But yeah, there's a lot of rooms where, because, like, especially with comedy, you got to think culturally, you're going to go see somebody that, like, vibes with that area or with whatever culture's there. And so it's really cool as a performer to get to go into some place and have nobody there like you, like with a background like you, and still get them on the same page, get them laughing, get them rolling. We're still having a good time. And it really brings people together. And that's why it's so frustrating when I have a joke that I know is, yes, it starts off and you're like, oh shit, is he going to say something fucked up? Because it starts with black ass. But when I'm doing it in a room of 90% black people and they're dying laughing and I'm trying to bring people together, and then as soon as the algorithm hears that and goes, oh, we're not going to show this joke, it's frustrating.
That there will be at some point a Supreme Court case about this. In our lifetime, there will be this is my estimation, there'll be a Supreme Court case, and there already is starting to be state Supreme Court cases around the stuff. But Second Amendment, the like some sort of the language is already kind of been swirling around like an online Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Like something, you know what I'm saying? Like what we're talking about here is the fact that your freedom of speech doesn't fucking extend.
Yeah.
Right? Like for whatever reason, even within this country, because, well, you know, we see that you're pushing this out to YouTube and you said this and we're YouTube and you can't fucking say that. We said, and if we're going to do business together, you have to do what we say. And I get that, like, as a business owner, but at the same time,
and I also get the perspective of like people out there that are pushing hate, and then they find their people to also push hate online, and then they get a group together. Like, I understand not wanting to allow people that like are trying to push hate easier access to each other to plan and do fucked up shit.
well, it's a weird thing because we recently had we added a couple of like paragraphs to our membership agreement about like just shit reflecting the climate, but also issues we've had about like harassment and hate speech. And it's like I'm like super hesitant to do that because I'm like, this is the slippery slope that I'm fucking sitting here talking with Bair about. Like it's like I'm not trying to tell people what to do or say, but I do feel inclined to tell them like, hey, if you say something super fucked up to this member over here who might be gay or might be a person of color or any of that, like I reserve the right to kick you the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Right. And I really, and like I kind of had that, and it's just like basically like I reserve the right to kick you out of here if for whatever reason.
Right.
But it's like really, it's not for whatever reason. It's if you like, if you're training here and you're like, dude, so and so said and did this to me, I'm fucking not training anymore. You won't even say that to me.
Right.
You'll just fucking turn your membership off.
Right.
Right. Like, and then it's just like little methods of deterrence. Like, I don't want to control what people say and do, but I also want to protect everybody in here from, like, and I'm not, shit. It would have to be like some fucking racist, Nazi, like her sexual harassment related shit. Like, okay, dude, I'm calling the cops. After this conference, like that sort of stuff.
What I tell comics at any of the shows that I'm producing is while they're on stage, that's their stage. You can say whatever you want. You have complete freedom of speech. But if you say something so fucked up, nobody's protecting you in the parking lot.
Have you ever seen somebody get booed off stage? Or?
Oh yeah, I've been booed off stage. We have a show in Little Rock called The Night Out. My buddy D So Funny hosts it.
Who's that?
He's D So. He runs a radio show, and it's like 96 points.
Is there a dude named Seth Dees?
There is a dude named Seth Dees. Yeah.
Is that the same? Not the same guy.
Not the same guy. Yeah. But this guy, he runs an Apollo style comedy show where the crowd is encouraged. If you don't like them, start booing and shaking your keys and get them off stage. So it's a competition, and whoever you have up to 5 minutes. Each comic has up to, I'm actually doing it on, I think this Friday. Yeah, it's fun as fuck.
Real quick, what dates do you have coming up? Do you know?
Yeah, we've got a big show we're doing July 1st at the Joint. So the Joint in North Little Rock was closed because of COVID, but they just came back. And in my opinion, it's the best room in the state. It's
Cord and I are wanting to come see you, bro.
July 1st is the time to come.
Oh man, are we going to be in town? Her birthday's the 5th. I think we leave on the 2nd though.
Okay, that's a Thursday night.
One of those golf places.
Yeah,
Alabama though, not Florida. Like 30 miles from Pensacola. Is it Gulf Shores, Gulf Breeze? I can't remember which fucking golf one it is.
July 1st at the Joint in North Little Rock. It's in the Argenta district. It's that's going to be a fun show. I also host every Monday night at Cregan's in North Little Rock. There's an Irish pub that's right there on Main Street, kind of catty corner to Verizon or Simmons Bank Arena, whatever it is. Yeah. Every Monday night at 8, we host a show in there. And the cool thing is we just got some stage lights. My buddy, I was telling you about my blind buddy, he went in and bought some lights for the show. So they'll dim the lights in Cregan's, and we'll just have the stage lights on. Yeah. Because before, it's an Irish pub. People come in, they're talking, they're drunk, they don't care. Like, they're going to be rude, whatever. But when we change the lighting in there, now when people come in, they're like, hey, can I get a beer? Like, and it just changes the whole vibe. And now it's like, everyone's like, oh, this is a show. And so now we've got regulars that come in for the show, and it's turning into a fun time.
Dude, that's another thing. Like, it's funny how much a lot of this stuff's on the same trajectory. I'm good on that.
Yeah, I'm good.
Like lighting in here.
Yeah.
Like that's just not fucking cutting it up here, dude. Yeah. You know? I don't know why
the right light. I mean, Chappelle talked about it on Rogan's podcast about how when he goes to a green room, he takes red light bulbs. And he takes the light bulbs out of the lamps and puts red light bulbs in just because it changes the mood and it sets the ambiance and it's like a fun hangout. So now when everybody's back there, it's a more relaxed vibe, and like it's better for them when they go on stage in that environment versus like a big fluorescent overhead light or something.
Yeah. See, I've got a huge light I used to at the old gym I used for filming.
Yeah.
And I may put it, it's kind of dark over here on the other side of this wall. That's where my matted wall is. And there was like 3 offices. And then there's this weird little room here with a little caddy corner 45. We just closed it in and made this because I could not loop. We could have torn this out and had mat space over here, but then my podcast still would have been in my house. And
I like it though in here, man. Yeah. It's nice that you have your own little nook to just disappear and just.
Dude, it is. And it's almost it's nice having everything separate too. Like I can film and record, especially now. I just got like a whole new office set up in Morrilton, standing desk. Like I've got a Yeti up there. I've got a nice webcam up there, like a whole bunch of stuff. I can do the same thing, right? But it's crazy how much it's like I'm really trying to put content out like in 3 different directions at all times. The gym, this podcast, and then the history shit. So I'm trying to get where it's like history shit happens at work. Like in there, like I've got just like a little light set up that's just like for my it's super simple. But I've got like what I want to do here is redo this grid ceiling. They make you see people put tin on a roof on the inside of the building. I thought about doing that. I was like, yeah, And then McMillan was like, no, they make tiles that look that way.
Okay.
That they go in the grid ceiling, and they sell
Yeah.
you the paint, and it's like you can get like almost like mosaic.
Mm-hmm.
It looks badass. It's gonna make this room pop. But then what I'm probably gonna do is like, this is the frustrating part, is based off my research and limited knowledge of lighting, pretty much nothing I do up there is going to achieve what I want. I'll probably have to pop it on like on the wall, or like I'm probably gonna take these cameras off the table and put them on the wall.
Yeah.
Right. And then possibly light off the like corners of the table.
I mean, that's what we've been learning, is that since Zane got those lights for us, we've been taking them to all the different shows that we're producing, and it changes it. It improves it. And you don't even have to, it could be subtle. It could be like just a subtle light change. It doesn't have to be some big drastic thing. And it just changes the mood where people behave differently depending on, and I'm talking specifically like in a live show performance.
For sure.
So,
it's a mood thing.
Yeah.
Did you learn it? Yeah, I know you did some theater. Did
you
learn anything about lighting in there?
No, because I wasn't in it long enough. So I was an engineering student, and then I got into stand-up. And my last semester at Tech, I was like, well, I want to take some theater classes, because like this is more what
you got to have artists. Right?
I did.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
she was awesome.
She's great.
And then I took, it was a creative writing class, and then I got into the theater productions through that class. And
who'd you have for creative writing? Do you remember?
Yes, he's God, what was his name? Last name starts with E. Cora would know.
Inkelmayer?
Yes,
possibly. He's a politician guy around here too now.
He was awesome. I wish I could remember his name, because he's one of my favorite professors I ever had. But
dude, how long you? It's like I've been out of school for a while now. It's crazy. It's crazy how much time's gone by, right? Since like I think your first podcast experience was like 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, I'll go back and listen to that podcast. And the very first podcast I did with you, because I hadn't done a whole lot of podcasting.
Now, I saw you've done several now.
Yeah,
right?
Done a lot now, but I went back and listened, and it's one of those things, like, you know how we were talking about refining and like always trying to get better. I went back and listened, and the whole time you would say something, I was over here, yeah, because I wanted to be engaged, but the whole time I was just repeating, yeah.
It's weird. Too, I joke around. I mean, he's a sweetheart, but I had like a super educated, like, guy's gone through seminary, taught world religions, had a PhD in psychology, but also like a master's in philosophy and world religion. So he taught all of those subjects. He was a therapist. And like, dude, I've had some crazy talks about consciousness in that dude's office.
Yeah.
And then like I got him on the podcast, and I'm like, so what's consciousness? Like what? Let's just talk about it. And he was just like, well, it just like it was. But some people, I think I don't know. It's weird. I think I like doing without the headphones sometimes. So I think it's more relaxed for the guests. I think also with this mic, it doesn't matter as much. Again, still dialing a bunch of this shit in, but it's some people are real weird. I noticed particularly like we're reluctant to say older, but like people like 50 and up are like, just put these over here instead. Yeah. Like I'm not gonna listen to it. Like I've had people just be like, no.
I know when I was first on, I was always scared, because like people get crucified for what they say on podcasts. Like it'll happen years later. So I would be real nervous about like, what if I say something messed up and then I don't get to work in the future or whatever. And I did it enough now that I was like, I don't care. Like I'm just gonna say how I feel, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, dude, I know. That's because at the end of, like I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday, because I was taking at this concert last night my new iPhone. Unfortunately, I dropped my other iPhone in the river where it got wet.
Yeah.
But dude, look how high quality of a photo that took at the Rev Room.
Oh yeah,
or not Rev Room, George's. Right, like several. Like it was doing the shutter for me.
Oh, that's the great thing. Like when I'm recording sets or trying to get pictures on stage, like these new iPhones are great.
Yeah, but I was talking with she's Hannah. She's been on the podcast. My best buddy Colby's girlfriend, and she's like, "That's gonna put photographers out of business." And I'm like I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, that you just gotta adapt. You gotta evolve. You gotta change it up, and
Right.
like continue to try new shit. And,
Also, good photographers, like what they do creatively when they're making a shot happen, you can't replace
exactly.
it. Like there's
Well, and I'm like, yeah, and I was like, not for like, no one's ever going to use this to take like family photos and shit. What it's going to do though is going to change the camera industry.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I think about this, like, what sort of lobby is there out there that is keeping me from doing what we're doing right now with those cameras having this capability? You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta take the camera, run it in the machine, and do all this extra shit, extra hardware. Where it's like, quite literally, we could just set this on the table and it would do a badass job. I could even like make the audio really good and stream it out to Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. Like all the stuff I have to pay an insane amount to do.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, what sort of lobby is keeping those types of cameras? Like there's got to be a political lobby for like that industry that's like, this technology never comes over to like digital cameras or video cameras. Like, why can't I upload from that device straight to YouTube?
I'm pretty sure there's like the new Canons and stuff. I'm pretty sure you can, but they're the price range on them is insane.
Yeah.
Like some of them are like $2,500 for
yeah. And I seems like I did maybe within the last year see like basically just a cam that had a YouTube app on to where it's like it's a live streaming camera.
Yeah.
Like it's made to live stream. Like the apps are here. Like you just click which ones you want to go out to, and you could plug it into your computer and add new apps like a Roku or some shit.
Yeah.
Like something. I think we're so far past.
That's another good thing about Rogan is that like the popularity of Rogan and what he's done is it's like pushing the way where everybody's like, hey, we need the technology to do this because a lot of people want to do this.
That's what I was saying about that. $300 for this switcher, 4 cams. I can hook my mixer into it. Like it makes it smooth.
Yeah, right? $300 versus what you say, like 2,000 or something. What it was pre-pandemic.
Dude. And I remember looking at Rogan's. It's called the TriCaster, and he did use that for a long time. Pretty sure they just switched, and I was like, "Oh, that's like $3,000." And then, I'll tell you too. I'll have to dig it up, but I need to watch it again. I did a podcasting masterclass with Adam Carolla, but it wasn't through the masterclass website. It was like something he released.
Yeah,
but they had a switcher, and I was just like, and it was like $10,000 or something. I was just like,
Jesus.
And it was older. It was huge. It was bigger than that mixer over there. And that's a huge mixer.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay. So like, that's when I was like, I can't even, like, that's not like, I would get cameras before I would like get that, like it just kind of what I've done. But now the prices have dropped. Do you remember when Blu-ray players or like even the first DVD players or the first like anything of technology that arrives, they're like, look, this is going to be $1 bazillion.
Yeah.
Like, and then it drops. And I think that's what we've seen with these switchers. But like Black Magic is this brand. A buddy of mine told me about it, and I spent like 3 hours researching. I was like, this is what we need.
Yeah.
Like, it does everything. I got verified that it did everything, and I was like, well, that's what we need.
So right now I'm trying to find a way to, because you were talking about putting content out in 3 different directions. It's hard releasing stand-up because like every time I have a new joke, a lot of times I'll either put it on my TikTok, put it on my Instagrams, just so that people see that I'm working. They see new jokes. They like come back and see me again, because you may not have heard half the set at the last show that you're going to hear at the next one. But at the same time, like I'm also trying to craft a really good set to eventually make an album with. And it's like, I don't want it all out there where everyone's already heard all my jokes. And then before I ever have a chance to like release it all as like one polished product.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find other ways to get, because I feel like social media and the internet, especially for a comic, that's how you're going to get any traction or any following, so you can go on the road and make money. And I haven't figured out the best way to put out content yet, whether, because I've tried like different small sketches and writing and stuff like that, but it's such a different skill set than stand-up, because stand-up is its own thing. And I really want to be the very best stand-up I can be. I just don't know how to relate that to like putting content on the internet other than jokes, other than just like taking videos of me at shows and putting them up.
That's what I was saying about like, and I've seen you do a bunch of like little clips and bites over time. And I think that with the live stream, I'll be able to start doing the audio live too. Right. So that's going to be another major corner turn. But like when I do all that, so like YouTube, it'll just your channel showing live periodically is huge. Like if you can go live every day on your Facebook page, huge. So even 3 times a week, it bumps you up a little bit. But like with this switcher, I can like drop the roll in audio and everything. It's like what we've got up here with the streaming across with the name and stuff, all of that's there. But like that's going to my social. But the issue is like why I asked you about the length of the Instagram videos earlier. And like I haven't even fucked with TikTok. Corey, my buddy Josh, who was on here the other day, like he was talking about TikTok on the podcast, cracking me up. And he's like, it's kind of like my, like my addiction. Like,
it's bad, man.
Yeah, he's like,
it's
I just
bad.
give myself, 20 minutes a day. Like, but he sends me a TikTok like every day, and they're hilarious. But between him and Cora, they're the main people that send me TikToks. I watch them, but we thought about getting one for the gym, but like, dude, it's just social media is a chore.
Yeah.
Like, luckily I have people to help here.
I got on TikTok specifically when we started doing our production Scoundrels Live stand-up, which is what Zane and I started to like. It's basically a production company that's not a company yet. We're just hitting the ground running. But anyway, I got on TikTok for that so I could upload stand-up clips on there. And then I catch myself at night, especially it's worse at night when you're bored, you're wanting to go to bed, but you're not really tired yet. You're kind of waiting on your body to get tired to go to sleep.
Dude, that was me.
Just start scrolling. Next thing you know, it's been 2.5 hours later. It's like, what am I doing? That I've deleted the app off my phone several times and just re-download it to upload something and then delete it again because I'll sit there for hours and just scroll.
Well, it's easy to do that. Like whatever your poison is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like whatever you like, for me, it's Facebook. I'm going to push this out live right now that's what's cool. It's like, look how I'm able to just pump that out.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
All right. Let's see what we want to do. Share to my page. Let me. But you do that. I think too, like StreamYard and some other, we played with something called like Hootsuite one time. That was like, but that's another thing is they know that you're doing that. The Facebook, the people that limit your freedom of speech, the YouTubes, they're like, we saw that you did not fucking log into our product to do this, that you use this other product and send it over here like it's a letter, a telegram or something.
Really?
And you're going to get less views because of that. Yeah. Like if I share something from Instagram to Facebook, even though they're like way more, it's still, if I did it independently, the reach on Instagram is going to be more. If I push it over versus just post it on Facebook, I just post it on Facebook, the reach is better. Right. It's crazy how that, and then too, like if I share trying to promote YouTube on Facebook, like I do it a lot more now, but it's just like, you just have to kind of stay with it. I think in the beginning to get your, like your reach up.
Yeah.
Right. And then like people always seeing you post about it that or getting some shares, but getting that, it's basically SEO, like just like it's crazy, dude. If you type in martial arts for Russellville, you could type in the other person's gym name and they're only gonna see our shit.
Yeah.
Because we put so much out, of the just like staying with your social media game, and like so many people don't. Like just what we're talking about. And I'm good about it with the gym, but dude, it's like how many I gotta do it for the gym, and like luckily I don't have to do it for my history classes, but I'm trying to like pull all that shit into the podcast.
Yeah.
Like to where it's like, look, here's a 3-hour podcast about the Egyptians, Old Kingdom. Enjoy. And we're pushing this out to a wide audience. And if you take me in class, be sure you listen to it. It's going to be on the test.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's been where I'm going. Is like I have everything in these short, like class length lectures, but I want to do like Dan Carlin style.
I love his. I'll sit on a deer stand. That's my favorite thing to do is to wait for him to upload a bunch of podcasts, and then when during deer season, when I'm on a deer stand bored out of my mind, I got one headphone in, listen to him talk about like the Celtic Holocaust or something.
And the Prosperity and Peril, I think, or American Peril. Prosperity and Peril is a book I have over here actually, but it's amazing. That's like about Teddy Roosevelt and Spain and Cuba. But the Wrath of the Khans, and too, somebody I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I follow his pages and shit. But you ever listen to History on Fire?
Oh, that's
the Nelly Belelli.
Yes,
dude, his podcast is fucking great. My favorite one he's done is called Anything That Moves. It's about My Lai and Sand Creek, right? Sand Creek in Colorado, Cheyenne natives under like government protection, white flag over their camp, surrendered, no warriors, massacred. My Lai, similar story, but in Vietnam. But they were just a village. It wasn't somewhere in that, but they're about 100 years apart, and they both involved terrible atrocities, but also people there that refused to participate. People there that would rape but wouldn't murder. Like that's the kind of shit that they draw out. It's these two historians, it's Belelli and another guy, and then the final episode they bring Jocko Willink on.
Oh, that's badass.
Dude. Yeah. He's just like, let's break this down, guys. Let's talk about here in Ramadi. Like, that's
cool.
It is, and he provides such insight. Being a leader, being someone in the military, being who he is. But Belelli's history podcast, amazing. I'm stuck on, dude, Audible. And then too, I've been on a big Great Courses kick. I've probably done 4 of those this year.
What did you think of the master classes that you did? Because when I did the Steve Martin and the Judd Apatow master classes, I was very bummed out because it was very much which is great in the first part of it because it's like very much for brand new beginners that have never done this before, that have no idea what this is at all, but that never really gets past that entry level, which is when I went into it and I saw, the branding master class. It's like, I want to.
How many hours of content were those? You remember?
Several. I don't remember specifically, but it took me weeks to get through both of them.
See, I did. So like Tom Morello's like Rage Against the Machine, he has one, and like, dude, it's insane. Like I'm still working through it, like, and have rewatched the front third of it like 4 times, and I'm just like, God, I still haven't done that homework. Like, but his PDF he provides with it, like that's what I kind of found is like, I would watch it at home or something, but then it's like, dude, I like getting down here with the guitar plugged in, like practicing with him essentially. That's what was most beneficial, so
because you've been doing guitar lessons here lately too, because I remember you had went back to like formal lessons after years of not, right?
And I never really had a ton of formal lessons. Like I just more like jammed with people, and like they explain things, and like I like watch videos. I just practiced and played in the church band. But I started taking lessons, and it's insane. Like I was, my buddy Dylan was here the other day, and we were both jamming, and he was playing fucking Lateralis by Tool. Like he knows all these Tool songs. And I was just like, but too, I noticed like I was following him and like doing shit, just different shit with it, and like stuff I never would have done before. Usually it'd be like, yeah, you sound great, dude. What should I play right
That's
now?
me.
You know,
So like I can do the 3 chords. Like if you tell me the chord progression, I'll play the chords, and then you can do all the cool shit.
dude. Last night, Todd Snyder in one of his songs, like everybody was like hooping and hollering. He's like, "Yeah, that's a D, and that's an A, and there's a G," and then just goes right
Yeah.
back into singing. He
Yeah.
like he was just like joke, but this dude is known for that shit.
Yeah.
Um, he'll like be like, "Oh, I'm gonna play. It's one of my new songs." Like he'll put the capo on, like what, and he'll just, and then he like takes it off and plays like one of his like greatest hits.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah," no, like he did that 4 times. Like didn't play any of his new shit. Play like Beer Run and
Hmm.
um, fucking funny. But that dude's something else. If you never got listened to, I bet. Do you like Sergil Simpson
Yes.
or Billy Strings?
Yes.
He is kind of in that wheelhouse.
Okay. I love Billy Strings.
So he just got added to the Mempo Fest.
Okay.
Have you heard about that?
Uh-uh.
Okay, so Mempo Fest, um, Widespread Panic's playing 2 nights there, which is pretty much all of the shit you see in this room.
Yeah.
But then Billy Strings just got added like yesterday or the day before. We had tickets to see him Little Rock. Pandemic hit with Jason Isbell. Like that's another
Yeah.
dude. And Panic bought the Drive By Truckers when Isbell was in their group,
Mhm.
their first tour bus or
That's
van,
cool.
right? But all sorts of cool connections with all of those artists. But Todd Snyder set in with Panic. We saw him in Nashville. He's in a band with for a minute with 2 of the members of Panic. Their guitar player. They did a couple albums, and then their guitar player committed suicide. Dude.
That sucks.
He was the guitar player too for Chris Robinson Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Like of the Black Crowes.
Mm-hmm.
Just a sad deal. And one of the songs on the new album is about that.
Damn.
Yeah.
I had always wanted to be a musician, but it was never put in the discipline and work to get good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the pandemic, I just sat down with my guitar and practice, just what songs I could find on YouTube and stuff. And my buddy Lucas Smith, he's a hilarious comic down in Little Rock, but he can sing his ass off. Like he is one of the best singers I've ever heard. And we were at the house, had a bunch of comics over, we're hanging out. Like some comics are playing chess, others are like drinking, smoking, hanging out. And I get out my guitar, start playing House of the Rising Sun, and he just starts belting it. And that's one of the coolest experience because I love performing anyway. And like I've never had to, anytime I've performed, it's always been jokes. It's never been like any musical anything. And it's in my living room. It's not really performing, but it was the first time I'd ever like really played in front of people before. Mm-hmm. That was cool.
It is cool. And like my buddy Dylan, he stopped by. We were talking about this, and he said this before, but it's like when it's like, all right, you play here, like you this is your part. I'm gonna play this. You over there on the drums. When we do this, you just come in here whenever you feel like it. You over there, you're doing this, and like, but when everybody like synthesizes it all together, brings it all together, like it's a special thing.
Yeah.
Music in general is a super special thing. I think that's why we gravitate towards it. I mean, it in the ancient world, it was a thing.
Yeah.
Like literally the Etruscans, this early Roman culture in Italy. They weren't technically Roman. They were there before the Romans ever were. But they're like, look, you're my slave. Follow me wherever I go and play that flute. All right. And like literally there's depictions of like the noble person going around and like the slaves following him, like playing the flute all the time.
Yeah.
It's like but lutes, lyres, Nero was playing his lyre as Rome burned during some revolts. But there's all these fucking crazy outlandish theories about the pyramids being tuned to a certain frequency.
Oh yeah, I've seen
right. Like, but it's just but people like when yoga, the bowl, that sort of stuff. It's like there is some validity to that, and two, I've dude, I remember I tell people about it's like a religious experience or something at a Panic show. Like I fucking just broke down and started crying.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I can't believe that they're doing this. How are you guys doing that to me? Like, dude, I never like the thought in my head is I was like, I've been listening to music my whole life and I can't even fucking wrap my mind around what you guys are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just, but
it's crazy how music will pull that emotion out of you too. Like you can,
yeah.
and it doesn't have to be like a sad song or it doesn't have to be about the words. It could just be like the notes they're playing. Something about it is just beautiful and it just pulls it out of you.
Man, yeah, that's a first, like there. That was like a total breakdown of
Yeah.
like bawling. But like I've teared up at a ton of different shows, songs, moments. But it is music. Just it is an emotional experience.
Oh, I'm the worst, especially when it comes to movies. Oh, I get sucked into a movie, man. I like if I'm going on a first date with a girl, we're not seeing a rom com, okay? Because I will cry my ass off.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I know. Like I'm still mad at Cora for starting Dead Poet Society without me somewhat recently.
Yeah.
I like woke up and I heard like Robin Williams in there. I was like,
she's watching it without me.
like I couldn't believe it. Still can't.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, that's like movies are special. That's probably like think about all the way back to ancient times, like theater,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like these are things that they transcend technological development and everything. Like when there was no technology, people were still acting,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there was still there was the fool or the jester in the king's court. Like all of these things have always existed.
One of my favorite stories I've heard. Now I don't know how true this is because I'm pretty sure I read it on Facebook, but
Must be true.
Yeah, it must be true. Apparently, there was, and I don't know which culture this is either, somewhere in Europe, and somewhere where at the time when they had jesters, there was this jester that had made fun of the king's wife, and the king was going to put him to death. But because he had been such a good jester, he was the king's favorite. He had worked with him for many years. The king said, "Look, I'm going to give you one opportunity. Tell me, how do you want to die?" And he looked at him and goes, "Old age." And the king laughed and let him live. But I don't know if it's true or not.
No,
but that's still like I think about that all the time and how like I want to be that clever and on like
quick-witted.
Yeah.
Especially
as a comic.
And one, I think, okay, so in the ancient world, also like Greece, Athens, it's like that was an art. Like the stuff they're like, oh, Bair, you should study rhetoric with us. It will help you become a better speaker.
Yeah,
like, and you will be more quick-witted. Or sophistry. Basically like sophisticated. Everybody like Plato and Aristotle had different views on it, but they're like, look, this shit doesn't work. This democracy, because Bair is a really good talker, and he convinced you guys 2 + 2 is 5. So we're fucked.
Yeah.
Like you guys believe 2 + 2 is 5. We cannot fucking even talk to you anymore. Like you're convinced because he had great rhetoric. Like, but that kind of goes forward into like politics and stuff. There's a speech between when Nixon ran against JFK, the radio listeners versus the TV viewers.
Really?
Right.
So I'm guessing the radio listeners like Nixon and the TV viewers like JFK.
Yeah, and Nixon had like this light on him and was like sweating, and JFK. The accent looked great, but the radio listeners were like, his accent kind of pisses us off.
Yeah,
right. It was just like, but really weird to see that contrast, like of how people perceive, you know, and how it can be tampered with.
I mean, you can see that as like I see that on stage all the time because you'll get people to cry laughing about stuff they don't agree with. Like, but you can take them on that loop that, like, as long as it connects logically and you can take them down that path, you'll get them. Like, I've had hardcore conservative Christians crying at an abortion joke just because I got them there in a very specific way.
Dude, that's what's special about comedy is it. You can do the stuff we're talking about and get everybody regardless of whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a human thing. It's not a like, oh, you accosted my class.
Right.
You know.
And that's the difference with a lot of people don't understand is that like once you learn how to do it correctly, like once something's funny, it's funny. You can't not laugh. Like try to not laugh at something funny will make you laugh harder. Like everybody knows that situation when they're not supposed to laugh and they can't control it because it's so fun. Like, and that is something that it's like you said, it's human. You can't deny it. And it's really funny when you're on stage and you see people like trying to hold it in, and it's like, just let it out, man. Like,
it's kind of like too. Corey's bad about this. I guess everybody probably is at some point. Like if you like, got hurt and I just laughed my ass off. Mm-hmm. It's just like what? Like Court, why are you laughing? Like, ow, like I hurt my finger. What do you do? Yeah. I know it was hilarious. I can't help it. I'm sorry. It's not funny. I'm sorry. But I'm still laughing.
Yeah.
It's like that sort of shit. It's just like how our emotions get especially confused maybe.
Like I'll have the most fun at a show when a lot of times when there's a comic up that is just bombing, just eating a fat dick, couldn't like tell you funny if it came up and hit him in the face. But it's so funny for me because I know what that feels like. Yeah. Like I know what it's like to struggle with, especially if it's one of your buddies or something. They're having an off night or like there's something's wrong with the set. It's hilarious. And then like the comics in the back will start dying laughing. And then that feels even worse because you can hear, okay, nobody's laughing but the comics. I must be doing terrible. It's just a funny thing to experience. Man. Yeah.
I can.
And it's not like we're not laughing at you. I mean, some of it, I mean, yeah, we are a little bit, but also we're laughing because we've been there and we know that this just sucks, man. Sorry. Like, it's like watching your friend get hit in the nuts. It's like, oh, I hate that for you.
Dude, I joke about this period, but I said, like, we had our last class, and it'll probably be this big tonight, was 30 people in jiu-jitsu. And I was like 10 white belts that are fairly new. And I'm like, look, you got to keep coming to class because there's going to be a time when you think you have guard like we worked tonight.
Yeah.
But in fact, you are under someone's mount. And they were just like, that happens to me.
Yeah.
Like, but dude, it's like, yeah, me too. Like I remember like 3 or 4 instances where I just knew I had a guard guillotine, but they had me in mount. But I thought I had guard. Like, it's just a weird thing. And I'm like pretty, as an instructor, empathetic to like, look, I know I've been there, like, fuck 15 years of doing this. And I've seen 100 people be exactly where you are in that time that either stayed training or quit or whatever. And it's just empathy to their situation. Yeah. Dude, we were talking about Lee Syed earlier. Have you seen where he's like super fucked up on Uncle Joey's? I think Joe Rogan is maybe on the show, but he's like with the edibles.
Oh yeah, he would come to Fourth Wall and just like take those stars that Joey would give him, and it was so fun because he was working out of his jokes like that. That way, when he's sober, like it, because I'll do the same thing where I'll go up stoned out of my mind on like an open mic or something. And because you get stage fright, you get paranoid, you get like freaked out. But if I know I can handle that situation, then when it's a paid show and it matters and I'm at a club or like I'm at the OR at the Comedy Store or something, I don't get fazed by it because it's like training with weights on. That's the way I look at it. But he would come into Fourth Wall just blasted. And it was so funny watching the work because he'd be up there like trying to remember his jokes as he's delivering them. And he would like fuck it up. And instead of saying this line, he would go here and figuring out a way to watch him like tie it back in and get a pop. It was really cool to watch.
Oh, dude, that guy is funny. Yeah. I can't believe that Joey moved back to fucking Jersey, I guess. And
everybody I know is moving to Austin. All the people I was working with there, like they either went back to wherever they're from or they're all headed to Austin.
Fuck California and New York, man. And New Jersey too. That's why I was surprised that Joey Diaz went back to New Jersey. It's like, dude, New Jersey, in all my research, is the 3rd worst state to handle this shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like over the last year at the pandemic. And
did you hear about I don't know if I told you or not, the homeless lady we had to deal with in our yard?
No.
So I had a homeless lady. She came up and stole my hammock out of the backyard. I had a bong out there and some toenail clippers. And that's what she stole. But she didn't take like the ropes, the straps that the hammock hangs on. She just took the hammock itself. Like a couple weeks later, I caught her out there. Our landlord turned the garage into an apartment, and it had a water heater on the outside. And she's out there pointing at the copper with one of her buddies, like, check out this copper. And so I ran her off that day. And then weeks go by, and then now it's summertime, and it's real hot. It's like 117 degrees outside. It's LA. It's sun scorching. And I catch her snooping around in the front yard, and I walk up there. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, please, can I just have some water? I'm dying. And now I felt, because like I'm not trying to like make somebody die of thirst. Like, so I feel about, I'm like, yeah, sure, you can have some water. She doesn't start taking a drink. She takes her clothes off and starts showering in my front yard at like 3 p.m. Like the neighbors are outside. There's people walking down the sidewalk. And I'm like, lady, you cannot do this here. So make her stop, run her off. She gets mad, throws a rock through my window. We call the cops. The cops come and pick her up and then bring her back like 4 hours later and just drop her off in front of the house because they can't do anything. There's so many. LAPD's got way bigger fish to fry than the homeless lady throwing rocks through a window. So just the whole situation was like super frustrating because like even the police won't do anything. Yeah. Which, I mean, that was also during the height of George Floyd and all the protests that were going on in LA and all, like, so the cops were not responding to a lot of stuff.
How crazy was it being there when all that shit was going on?
That shit was wild because I got a notification on my phone that said there's a full curfew in effect. And I was like, fuck you. Dude, first of all.
Yeah, I remember you posting. A friend of mine lives in downtown LA, Mike Andler. He's been on the podcast.
But I could hear the like tear gas canisters. I could hear all the stuff happening from my place in North Hollywood, but I don't know specifically where it was.
Did you see any like rocks like that? How that was happening?
Like the bricks that would just show up and stuff. Yeah. No, I didn't see that. We took water to they were doing a protest downtown, and my house took water down there to the protesters, but we were back before dark. So
see, Mike, he shared this, and I believe we talked about it on the podcast, and I was on his podcast. But he was like walking his dog. Steve the dog, he live streams the walks with Steve every day. It's fucking awesome. He lives in like a high rise in like downtown LA, like beautiful everything, like view. And he's like going down to walk the dog, and there was a like a military Humvee parked right there, and like a think National Guard, like a female guards person, and she was like, you don't want to be here. Like you needed to get like, this is the same day that like he was sharing the screens of like that notification you got, like you need to be in your house. Like shit's about to get bad. And it's just like, what? Yeah. Like just that, but so that's what I'm saying. Like I was just hearing crazy stories. And like when I would talk to Jack lives in LA too. And he's been talking about maybe moving to Salt Lake. But man, just like it would suck to still be there, I think. But also like Jack didn't really have like massive complaints, and like really is based off of talking with him without getting like super like, hey Jack, tell me more about that. Like seems to be doing really well now, you know. But
I've still the people that I lived with out there. So I moved out there with other comics from Arkansas, and 2 of them are still out there. And
how are they making it?
They love it. They're not going anywhere. I actually, one of them, she's coming and doing the Looney Bin next week, so I'll get to talk to her and get an update. It'll be the first time I've seen her since I lived out there, so we're going to catch up and I'll get more of a rundown. But I know they moved to like the downtown area right after, like right when I moved back to Arkansas when everything was still shut down out there. They moved to downtown, so
yeah,
from North Hollywood.
What kind of? So that whole experience is like being, how long were you in LA?
I was 2 years.
I mean, that had to do a lot for you coming back to any market.
Oh yeah. It like, I feel like I'm a better comic now than I've ever been, which is why I'm really excited to be producing these shows and trying to get more people to come out, because like for the first time, I'm like, I'm not like my mom could come see me and I know I'm going to make you laugh and not embarrass you. Like, but being out there, one thing I learned was that if you're a comic in a smaller market, you need to get headliner funny before you move to the big market because you need to come in with some heat. Otherwise, they're just going to see you as an open micer, which is what I did. I went in and I was only a year in, and all the clubs that I went to and stuff, like the store, like I knew the door guys at the store, knew some people at the Improv and stuff like that, but I was an open micer to them.
Dude, like
even though I was getting booked in the middle of the country and like working, like being a professional comic, getting paid for it out there, you're nobody until you're not.
It seems like I remember when I was also in Southern California, Long Beach. I remember when I first went to Worlds as a purple belt, just like being there, seeing all the jiu-jitsu people, like looking over as Andre Galval, like, hey, dude, I got your fucking book, bro. Like, it's great. Thanks. Like,
yeah,
the Mendez brothers, who Kurt Osiander, like you're seeing all these people that, you admire, and then you're seeing the sport, but it seems like, dude, like the Comedy Store is the world's of comedy.
Oh, it's amazing performing there. Now I didn't get to do the main room. I only got to do the OR and the belly room, but that is so fucking cool. Like when you're on stage and there's literally a big neon sign that says Richard Pryor next to you, like that's just cool.
Dude,
like,
I didn't show you. Well, I'll try and think. I got to bring it over here and figure out. I got this on-air sign.
Yeah.
That my sign guy, Nick, made.
Yeah.
It's fucking badass. Like I'm probably going to mount it to the wall, but I have some art plans for here.
Yeah.
So I hadn't really figured out where I'm going to put it. I'm running out of fun.
That'll be cool.
Here, dude. But yeah.
One thing I learned about going out there, and this is what I've been telling the comics back here, is like, because all the guys that are here, they're like, man, I want to go to the big scene. I want to do this. What I learned at the Comedy Store was that it's not the physical place itself that makes that place what it is. It's the camaraderie and the level of people that work there and built it and made it what it is. So the Comedy Store is the Comedy Store because of people like Robin Williams, Richard Pryor, Jim Carrey that came in there and made that place what it is. And so what I've been telling all the guys back here is we can build it here. It was built there and people flocked to it because it was known for being high quality. If we produce something high quality here, people will also come. And there's no reason why Little Rock can't be known for stand-up the way Chicago is, the way New York is, the way – now, it's not as big a scene. There's not near the population. But I strongly believe that, especially having gone out there and come back, like I probably won't live out there again. There's no need to. It's so expensive. It's so – and like especially I'm getting on stage more now because instead of doing 14 sets out there where I would do 3 minutes for nobody, I'm getting like 6 sets a week here in front of legit crowds and where I can go up 10, 15 minutes and like work on my act and work on my craft.
So how much time do you think you lost? Like where you weren't getting to perform, you weren't like now, like imagine you would have been doing that, that would have been the situation in LA for you, right? Yeah. If there was no pandemic, but like how many months of like not getting to do really anything did you experience?
March to August. And like Chappelle said it on Rogan the last time he was on there. What we do is not riding a bike. You can't just take a whole lot of time off and expect to come back clicking the way you were before you got off. It's just, that's not that type of skill. And that was why, like, we tried to do a lot of like low key speakeasy stuff when we were out there, but then half the comics would be like, we're going to turn you in. We're going to call the city. We're going to do, and it's like, it's whatever. So
dude, I told RPD, I was like, under no circumstances is anybody from your department to fucking come on my premises.
Oh yeah.
Right. I'm like, I'll fucking own this. And you guys do not have any fucking say so about what goes on in here.
Yeah.
I mean, I closed for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Right after buying this $400,000 building.
Yeah.
Might I add. 3 weeks after we moved in, like 5 weeks of remodel, we moved in. And I'm just like, and I closed, and then we did a lot of due diligence coming back. But dude, that guy I was mentioning, the Nose Jack, is in New fucking York, bro. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, he was on Tucker Carlson too. Yeah. Like if you remind me after, I'll shoot you the link. But
okay.
That this guy that hosted Hickson and shit. But he started back. He's in Malta, New York, but he's like, fuck the government. He still is like, fuck the government.
Yeah.
So
that's what all of this has made me, because just the whole thing the shit show we've had since the pandemic has made me be like, well, fuck, y'all don't know what you're doing anyway, so fuck off. Like, and honestly, this is how I felt about like the vaccines and the masks and stuff. It's like I quarantined for like almost a complete year. I did exactly what I was supposed to. I always wore the mask. I was due diligent, social distance, everything. But at some point, I gotta live my life.
You got to make a living.
Yeah, I gotta work. I can't just live under a rock for the rest of my life.
That's the main thing. Like that for me, it's like livelihood.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Like when world's like, and two, I still have my history salary and shit and benefits coming in, but it's like, it's like, no. You cannot tell me. Like, I mean, like we got to come up with something else. Like, just let me handle it.
Yeah.
But and then and I get it too. It's like, but Walmart never fucking closed, not for one day.
The cool thing about it though, and a lot of comics probably won't agree with me on this, especially my friends out west, but I don't care. We like for once in my career, comedy was dangerous again. Like if you were going out doing shows, you were the bad guy. You were the like, oh, you can't do that. You got to be doing this. And so it felt dangerous, and it felt like it reminded me. Reminded me is not the right word. It made me feel a connection with like legends like Lenny Bruce and other things who were like, hey, fuck you. This is what I'm doing. And while now nobody was arresting me, I wasn't nowhere near danger like he was, but it still gave me that kind of connection and made me respect it that much more.
Panic sings about Lenny Bruce.
Yeah.
It just that's I think how I heard about it.
Yeah. He just for me, because comedy was dangerous again, it kind of you got to see, oh, who here are the actual like people that are gonna say what they actually feel, and who here are the bootlickers that are just like trying to be famous or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what it showed me, like all of my friends that were like, and I'm not saying that because the pandemic was very serious. We had a lot of people die. I'm not saying that it wasn't serious at all, but for those people that were just like, if you do it, I'm calling the city, I'm shutting you down. It's like, dude, you're a problem.
I was legit worried. There's this local kind of show with the paper. It's kind of like a podcast, but they pretty much only deal with like political shit. Like and both of the people have been on this podcast, but dude, there's the female host. All these people remain nameless, but was like blasting people on the internet, social for like doing whatever. Now she was primarily targeting like churches, right? But I was like, oh fuck, we're next. Like just like the way things are coming across, and it's like we were in here training, and like it was after the adults had like I don't think we ever required a mask while we were on the mats, right? Like we required people when they were walking in because like, dude, you get a bottleneck like right in the front of the doorway at the counter.
But also at some point, you've got to take your own safety and well-being into your own hands. At some point, it's your own responsibility.
Dude, I mean, we do that every day.
Yeah.
We got this.
Like I understand, like, because that's what I would tell people when I was doing shows. It's like, look, I understand there's a risk. If you're worried about it, don't come. Don't be around me. Like and I would tell people, I've been around people. If you don't want to, like, if that worries you, don't come around me. And I'll respect that because that's your wishes. Yeah. But also, you can't tell me what I can and can't do anymore. At some point, I'm going to live my life. So
it is. I mean, it's weird. It's all fucking weird. Everything from, I mean, there's this benefit concert happening that Widespread Panic's doing, our Lord and Savior. But and it's a charity event. I forget all the details on it, but you have to present a vaccine ID.
See, Flappers in LA right now is making all of their people come in the audience show proof of vaccination to get into the show.
Isn't that wild?
And I say fuck that, but that's my own opinion.
It's that's a strange and too, like, I don't know. I need to look back on the history of. I know within the Spanish flu, and I had a couple of guests talk about this. There was like an anti-mask league, and and shit. Like there was a lot of parallels, right? And but I wonder on some of this other shit, like when polio vaccine came out, were people required to get it? Like, were there people who had a problem with it, right? And I just, hey, you know, this is gonna sound stupid as fuck. Like I'm not doing my fucking part or something, but I hate getting shots.
Yeah.
And not only do I hate, like, punch me in the face, I'll fight both of y'all, right?
Yeah, ain't nobody whooping your ass.
I got two black belts. Like, dude, I was getting that cortisone shot in my shoulder, and I'm like, I'll fight Bair. Oh, oh. Dude, it's terrible, bro.
Yeah.
But I'm like, voluntarily did that? Like, I'm just not like, I got blood drawn, and I get it drawn like every year, and I'm just always like,
Yeah.
it just fucking bothers me. I hate like volunteering for it. Hey, not being conspiratorial at all, but it's like, and Corey got the vaccine, but we've been trying to conceive for a while, and I'm like, yeah, we should probably hold off on that just because we don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, and again, not being like an anti-vaxxer or anything, honestly, but I want it to be, and I haven't had COVID. Have you had it?
No. Well, no, I haven't had a positive test.
Yeah, not, and I will say this: I've been around it so much, dude. Like Cora had it, and I was like with her for the whole time. She had symptoms for 11 days.
Yeah.
And slept in the same bed with her all 11 days, dude. The number of people I've been around that have had it is remarkable. When Cora got it, like everybody I'd been around and she'd been around that was an instructor here also got it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she felt terrible. And I know people that have died from it. So I'm just like, not like I'm conflicted about it. It's like, it's just a fucked up thing. It's like, you know, what do we do? Right? Other than,
I was around a bunch of people that had it, and I thought, like, one time in not February, it was like August, September, I had like mild symptoms, but I never got a test. I was like, it was like cold like symptoms, and I had a cough, and I had like bad congestion in my lungs. And so I was like, if this stays bad, I'm gonna go get tested, but I just self-quarantined for a couple weeks and then just got over it. I never, like I said, never got a test, so there's no telling whether I had it or not. I know a lot of people. The owner of the joint, the comedy club that I work at a lot, he got it, and they shut the club down for a while.
Dude, talk about, did you have any hypochondria since the pandemic? Because, dude, I did have this weird issue, and I still don't really know why. But there was like a spurt of like 5 or 6 months where I had headaches.
Oh, if I get a cough, I'm like, okay, I'm dead.
Like super mild headaches, and I'm like, I've got COVID.
Yep.
Like every time, dude. And dude, I'll say this, like, fuck, I started taking some, and I've taken it before. But Alpha Brain, have you ever had Alpha Brain?
No.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
But it gives me a fucking headache. And like I don't get headaches unless over the last couple of years, if I get hit square on the chin, I will get a headache.
Yeah.
Probably. It's happened multiple times. And I don't spar very much because of that same reason. And two, I've like, basically, it's kind of weird. I don't box very much.
Yeah.
Whereas before I would box all the time. That's like what it's like. I'm going to beat you with my hands, and then I'm going to chop your leg down.
Yeah.
And now I outfight more. Like I used to always want to get on the inside and clinch, takedowns, whatever it was. And like now it's like I'm 34. Like I just want to, and that's why I like this superfoot shit I've been studying, because it is like on the outside. It's like, I kind of like used to always talk shit about kicking with your foot in certain situations, but like, it's because I was trying to do it in the range and distance away from you, where I would throw like Thai style shit. I could still punch you.
Yeah.
Like this shit is like, yeah, you might throw a punch or two or three and get angles and shit like that. You might box a little bit, but when you kick them, you're like a little bit further away. Right. So it's like, and you can use the side kick in closer, but it's just like a different set of shit. But it's like more conducive because I'm not in range to get like slobber knocked.
Yeah.
Right. But that's been, fuck, I don't know. I have carpal tunnel in this, and I like you mentioned Parkinson's earlier, and dude, I had like a twitch, and then I finally isolated that it would happen when my wrist and finger would both be bent. Right? Okay, it's not doing it right now.
That's karma for all them wrist locks you do on the white belts. That's what that is.
Hold on. I'd sent Danny Dring. We were messaging on Facebook, and I'd seen something I'd sent him before. like I was sending some videos of shit I was working on.
Yeah.
We're just talking about shit. And then I like the last thing I'd send him is like Luke Skywalker here. Hey, how could you wish like me? I'm just a white belt. No. Yeah, dude. Like I remember I don't think I've ever told this story on the podcast, but I've definitely told it before. We were training at Chris Thompson's gym.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy from like I think he was from Mina. I don't remember. But he was a white belt, and he's probably your size, maybe a little maybe a little lighter,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the 10 pounds lighter. And I was training for fucking Worlds or something. I think I just got my brown belt, or I was like a more advanced purple belt. And we were training, dude, and it was insane. There was like 40 people there,
Mm-hmm.
like competition style training. Fuck, it was a rough day.
Yeah.
I remember like going out and it was cold outside, but it was hot inside. And like we would open the door and it would be like you would be like, but it was cold, so it was uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
like to breathe that. But we're rolling in this white belt, like being super aggressive, and I was just like competition training, so I was one upping him everywhere, and he got stuck in my group because of the size. Like he was close to me in size,
Mm-hmm.
and I wrist locked him, and he like popped off something like, and I was like, "You want another?" Like shut the fuck up, man. Like I've got a fucking tournament coming up, and I've submitted 4 people in competitions with this shit. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna fuck it up. Like dude, I joke about that shit now because back then I was. It's not just like you're training for the points and the sport. You are in a different mindset, dude. It's like that competitive shit. Like,
to this day, I talk about that AGF tournament I did with y'all, and it was my first time competing and rolling with somebody in competition. And when that dude got me on the ground and got that pressure on me, I was like, oh, this is what it's like when somebody's going hard. Okay. Like it was a world of difference. And my roommate, like he said that the guys at Westside are trying to get him to do competition. And that's what I've been trying to do. I say, roll with the guys at your gym that compete competitively and have them roll with you like a competitor, because it's not exactly the same thing. It's a different.
It's not, yeah. And
it's another level. Like there's another gear that you don't realize is there. Or at least I didn't realize until I had been through it.
What is wild too is like I've been talking with this, like just some stuff we've been kind of going over, is almost all that jiu-jitsu schools focus on is like, hey, here's what the people in the room are going to do to you,
mm-hmm.
who are also fucking trained, right?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't like the you don't get enough shit that could be applicable to fighting,
mm-hmm.
self-defense, MMA, however but you just lose out on some of that shit because it's like, look, you think like the person that you're fighting against in the bar that like grabbed you while you were sitting at the bar from the side, right? And fucking did whatever. Like you think they're like, I'm going to initiate the half guard underhook battle and win it.
No.
And then I'm going to pass your guard.
Yeah.
And I'm going to like, no, they don't. Even if they watch the UFC, they probably like their whole, like, cause I've had my buddy Colby, dude, he just from being a fan, like when he did, so he's a blue belt now. He's like had a fight IQ. Like he would like throw these ideas out occasionally, and I'm like, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like because he had just like for 10 years fucking watched that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to go to his house to watch all the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
You know, and so like he adapted like in a different way. But so there's that goes like people have fight IQs, you know. But yeah.
I've been very lucky. Because I've learned that spam call. I've learned, especially like with hecklers. I had this heckler once that he showed up to the open mic. He had this girl with him, and like during every comic set, he was like, "Man, I can do this shit. Like this ain't nothing." And he's talking to his girl, and I was sitting behind him, and I heard him, and like people would be like, "Hey, y'all having a good time?" He'd be like, "No," just like new guy coming up. He's just trying to get warm on the crowd. And like I said earlier, like a lot of the scene is still very segregated, and we're in a black room where like a lot of these guys are real intimidated to go in there, and like and they just want to do a good job, and it's very. Because one thing I love about black rooms, especially in Little Rock, is that they either if they love you, they're gonna let you know, hey, we love you. And if they hate you, they're like, we're gonna let you know we hate you. And so it's a very double-edged sword, which is what makes it so fun. But this guy's in the back and he's just being an asshole for no reason. And finally, I get up on stage and I'm sitting back there and I remember what he says, like, I could do this shit. And I just kind of had it in the back of my head. And I was doing my set. I was having a really good set. I was getting laughs. I was hitting all my punchlines. And like right there towards the end of my set, I told Dre, the host in the back, I said, hey, I'm going to do one more and then I'm coming off. And this dude, his name's Jerome. He goes, okay. And I was like, what's wrong, man? Why are you having a bad time? What's wrong? And then he starts going off. And I've got it on my TikTok. I can show it to you after. But like, I was like, I told the crowd, I was like, this guy, we had all these people coming up trying for the first time. It's very nervous to get up here in front of you. And he's in the back like, I could do this shit. What you don't know, Jerome, is this is an open mic. You can sign your bitch ass up. I'll give you the rest of my time. You can get up here. And he was like, oh. And I was like, you ain't half a bitch. You ain't a 3/4 bitch. You a whole bitch. And it got a huge pop because the whole crowd was tired of him because they had been listening to him do this all night.
It fucks up to do. Yeah. Like that shit was, I had, we had tables at the concert last night.
Yeah.
And then there was a crowd too. But there's people next to us like flashing their fucking camera the whole night. And then Todd Snyder in the middle of the show to a heckler was like, hey, I'm playing all the songs you wanted me to play. It can't just be about me and you, just maybe just don't do that as much. Yeah. Like this basic. And I was like, oh.
But this guy, he got up and starts walking to the stage. And I was like, well, like, I'm making jokes, man. The crowd loved it, like, obviously. And I'm thinking, well, shit, now are we about to fight? Like, is this about to get something physical? But luckily, all the comics in there got in between. And then he eventually came up and apologized and was drunk and was trying to have a good time, which whatever.
Yeah, that's another factor, man. Like at these MMA shows, at comedy concerts, people get drunk and stupid. It's wild. And that's like always the element, like, dude, I have no problem drinking.
Yeah.
At all. But it's like, that's just like show, like entertainment, like what we're talking about of any kind. Like when I've been to UFCs, dude, the drunk fans there that are like 300 pounds,
right?
That never trained a day in their life, and the shit that they yell, it blows my mind. I'm like,
it's like, oh, you don't know. Like you just don't know.
It's
and you're letting everybody in here know you don't know. Like, it's so stupid.
It's a weird situation, but that's just people, man.
Yeah.
It wears me out.
We got a guy that's he used to live in Vietnam teaching English over there and came over and has been doing stand-up. And I was like, he's like this real lanky, like nerdy looking dude. He's real soft spoken, kind of weird, socially awkward, but like his lats and his shoulders and like it's like I was like, I asked him when I was like, you do jiu-jitsu? He's like, yeah, I'm a purple belt. I was like, okay, yeah, you look like this nerdy, like happy, always like happy-go-lucky, like never mad at anybody. Like you look like you could fuck somebody up in here. Just been doing stand-up.
That's our live feed. We got a comment.
What's the comment?
Alpha Brain is some crazy stuff. Made me have weird anxiety. From Chris.
I wanted to try it. It's just so expensive. Like
it is, dude. And like I got a fucking bottle. I'm probably never gonna take any of again, dude. Yeah. And two, I got like I'd heard that. Like my buddy Nick, he told me, he's like, that shit gave me headaches. And then like they acknowledged that it gave people headaches and changed the formula. But maybe I got an old batch. I don't know what the deal is, but and two, it fucked with Cora too. Like she took some of it and it like just made her like real like jitter. She only took one. I think the servings too.
Yeah.
I take that new mood. And I notice a difference on that. And and I also take that Host Defense. The mushroom powder.
Oh, okay.
Right. Dude, it's great. What I usually do in the morning is I'll drink a can of that caveman coffee. And I'll do a couple of scoops of the cordyceps and this other. It's like 7 different blends.
What I'm trying to do is we're trying to build up Scoundrels Last Stand because we're going to a few venues now. And like what our business model is we'll go in and be like, what's your worst night of the week? Okay, give us a budget. We'll turn it into your best night as far as bringing people in here and drink sales. And then,
that's a big.
and so we've done that at a couple bars now. We're in some bars where they're giving us a budget where we can pay comics to come in and do shows. And what we're trying to do is get enough of those businesses to where we can do Scoundrels Live stand up full time. That way, and because I want to get back into jiu-jitsu and I want to get like supplements again, because that's one thing with comedy being, especially when I'm on the road. When I'm at home, I eat mostly like deer meat and eggs from my mom's house, and like I try to eat real clean when I'm at the house. But if I'm on the road, like fast food is almost the only option, and it sucks. And I don't get to work out as much as I used to. And like I'll look back at like pictures of when I was training it up here at Forest, and I'm like, fuck, I want to train again so bad. It's so much fun,
dude. After I got stopped competing, I wouldn't say I got unhealthy, but like I had a couple of injuries. Like I think I tore my groin and just never got it checked out. Dude.
Yeah,
it was my hip and groin it was fucked up for like the longest time. Like I couldn't do some of the most weird basic shit, and I would get this femoral nerve pain, like burning sensation on the inside of my thigh, and it is fucked up. But it finally went away, and then I have this torn labrum, but that occurred like
that's what I had with mine, was a torn labrum,
dude. And I've been rehabbing the shit out of it, and I think it's getting better.
I had it pop out 4 times and had to go have it tied together with surgery.
I think I remember you going through that.
Yeah.
See, I think I'm gonna avoid surgery for now. But it's just because I did 3 months of PT twice a week.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing all that shit here. I got band setups, even doing more than I was in at PT, doing both shoulders 3 days a week. But man, it just staying with it. I need to stay, like people I've talked to are like 10 months to a year, right? And then still, you got to be fucking careful for a while after that, because it's like that's just where it's like, okay, you're strong. I still get minor impingement, maybe 4 times a week. But dude, I used to get impingements in subluxation 30 times a day.
Damn.
Like wasn't popping out, but like the looseness and then like the catching, like
that hurts.
But now, like last night when I put my gi on, I was like, oh, but it's different. And two, is when they gave me that cortisone shot, almost immediately my shoulder was tighter. That was one of the, and I feel like that impingement is almost like it catching and tightening back up, like it popping back in more as I strengthen the muscles around it. But
that's one good thing about the people I live with and like the guys I work with in stand up. Like we're constantly trying to push each other and like compete with each other as far as like who's coming with new jokes. Like, oh, you did like, yeah, you had a good set, but you did the same jokes you've been doing for 3 weeks, man. Why aren't you writing new jokes? Why aren't you? And so we're trying to push each other. The guy I live with, Zane Lovelady, he is like a competitive dancer and in hella good shape. And every day when he's at the house working out, and he'll just come in there and be like, hey, you working out with me? Or like, are we doing this? And so, and like, I have to, because if I don't, all week at shows, I'm just going to hear how much of a bitch I was that I didn't work out with him that week. So it's good that we push each other like that. I'm just looking for, like, I want to get successful enough at this that I have the time dedicated that I can work out again and get back into really jiu-jitsu.
Well, see, I had to build that shit in and like reevaluate, because when I started doing martial arts, like that was my exercise.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's how I got in shape. Anything I did to ever get like improve my cardio, get into shape, get stronger was like, I got a competition coming up.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, I'm fighting. Like I have to do this all the time because I'm fighting all the time, whatever it was. And, like after not competing for 2 or 3 years, starting to work at the university, being super busy all the time. Like I was not exercising outside of here. at all. And I wasn't really doing a ton here. Like I was like injured, so I wasn't getting to roll like consistently. And then I just like I remember I got bronchitis twice in a row
Yeah.
one year, and that freaked me the fuck out. Like I remember like being real freaked out that I couldn't breathe, and just like I just was not feeling good, dude, at all. And then I just started exercising all the fucking time. Like I went and got a fitness membership, started getting up at 4 because that's what time David Goggins gets up,
Yep.
dude. I mean, fuck. Like he's like, fuck people to get up at 4:30. Get up at 4. And I was like,
It's hard to
all
have an
right.
excuse when you listen to somebody like that. You're like, man, I'm just a bitch. Okay. I just
Well,
need to do it.
yeah, I mean, I'm like, okay, like, so like my stresses were around like not physically feeling well, not having time to do shit I want to do, having too much shit to do, and it just not all of it being bad and together. And then it was like, all right, well, I need to free up time. How am I going to do that? Variety of ways, but getting up earlier was one of them. And then exercising gave me more energy. Like I tweaked my back just a little bit, like my rhomboid. It's weird. It's not like it's minor, but like I've been training super hard for this event this weekend for several weeks. And
Are you competing this weekend?
No, with Superfoot Bill Wallace. He is he's the dude who found the Blues Brother Belushi. Found him dead, OD'd.
Oh wow.
Fucking trained Elvis Presley. Like, dude's a rad old guy. It's like
Yeah.
76, I think now. But I've trained with him before, been around him a ton. Dring is like 8th degree black belt under him. This guy like is the innovator of like what we would call kickboxing, right? And I'm testing. I'm going to a camp. It's all weekend, and I'm testing for my black belt under him.
Gotcha.
Right. So been I basically trained to drink for this shit a ton, and then they have a regional event every year at camp, and then I'll go just test. They did a pre-testing already, but dude, I was training super hard for that, and kind of got on the tail end. I got like some fucking sinus sickness when it was raining a ton, and fuck that. I'm just kind of like I feel like I was overtrained a little bit, but I'm dialed back in for this weekend. But
good luck.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it'll be fun. It's gonna suck. We'll train all day from like 9 to 4:30, and then do the testing at 6.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like breaks and shit in between and a lunch, but it's gonna be a fucking marathon weekend. But
that will be fun though.
Yeah, but man, honestly, like I've been feeling super healthy. The moral of the story is, other than like just training real hard and tweaking a couple of minor things, I've been feeling super healthy from just like, okay, I work out on a regular basis. I got like a morning ritual where I am doing some supplementation, probiotic, drinking and consuming, nutrients and vitamins I need from either, like, dude, I'll just kill some vitamin C every day, D, fish oils, the new mood, that's something, the mushroom supplements. Really, dude, this coffee will not give me any heartburn. Like some coffee,
does regular coffee give you heartburn?
Well, yeah, yes, regular coffee, and then some. Like if I were to just get as much Starbucks cold brew would get me off the amount that this does, it would give me heartburn for sure. And it's the same thing with really
energy drinks give me heartburn.
Yeah, sugary shit gives me heartburn. Anything red, like typically gives me heartburn. I don't know what it is.
I was talking specifically fruit punch energy drinks give me heartburn.
Yeah, I don't know if it could be the red dye. I could be allergic to that, or I don't know. Like I kind of feel like just acidic shit. Like tomatoes to me are super acidic.
Yeah,
to me. I don't know if everybody feels that way, but I never liked tomatoes for that reason. Like anything with tomato sauce will fucking kill me. kind of always has. Like when I remember being a kid, like eating some Chef Boyardee raviolis, bro. It
And
gave
it
me,
still
gave me
messes you up.
heartburn as a
Yeah.
kid, you know? Like you're like, oh man, what's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just try and monitor what I eat, drink tons of water, don't drink tons of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like this, I can do a couple of cans of these a day. That is my second can today, but typically one can will do it for me.
I have a habit of coffee when I write. So every day I start my day, I'll wake up and for the first hour or two, I'll set a timer on my phone and I'll look up like news, anything like current events that's happening. And if it catches my eye, I'll write about it. And then I'll get like a cup of coffee and a fat bowl packed. And I'll just write and I'll go and I'll keep replacing the coffee. And then about an hour in, I'll smoke the bowl. And then because I'll have that first hour where I'm really like just trying to see if there's any ideas out there, and then I get loose and I try to get creative. But okay, well, where can I take this? How does this make me feel? Like, is there any?
Is it? Yeah, I know. That's similar ritual here.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how it's like, all right, let me take this upper. We're gonna just dial it up a notch, and we're gonna dial it back in
Yep.
with this downer.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just like, I'm not saying that like you need weed or coffee to write or anything. It's just what I've found that helps me get the most creative with this.
Some people don't experience that, and I
Yeah.
kind of like, I joke around with people about it sometimes. I'm like, you don't like the thoughts it makes you think? Like,
Yeah,
you
like-
know what I'm saying? Like, I do.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me just look at shit differently,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like Joe Rogan talks about that. It is it's like an introspective.
Mhm.
Like you, but I think maybe not everybody experiences that. You know,
And it affects, and that's what I tell people in my life. Like it affects everybody differently. Some people it helps them out and they love it. Some people it makes them jittery or anxious and they hate it. And for me personally, it especially creatively, it helps me because I have a real bad problem of as I'm writing. I've been fortunate enough and successful enough that I've got jokes that I know are funny. So as I'm writing, I'm like, this isn't as funny as that other stuff. So why am I'm wasting my time? And then I get blocked because I get in my own head as I'm judging as it's coming out. Where if I just smoke a bowl, all that goes away. And then I'm just in the idea of, well, okay, how can I take this or where can I go with it or what? And then it helps me get over that.
The whole creative process, what we're talking about basically, but the writing process in general is my friend Josh, he's an author, and I've had several authors on this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
but they kind of all talk about this in a similar way of like, I just can't put that out.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna rewrite it. Yeah, like where it's a point of like you like the overall skeletal structure, the premises, the main idea, but you can't pull anything else together.
Yeah. Well, that's what like honestly with the thing I said I was going to write with you or for you the Dave Chappelle thing. I got like halfway 3/4 of the way done with it, and I messaged you. I was like, "You want this?" And I didn't quite like where it was at. I was like, "Okay, I'll put it down, pick it up tomorrow," and then just it's one of those things where it just never came, and I was like, "This is shitty. I can't put this out." And then I felt unprofessional and bad because I was like, I should have just.
Yeah, I still haven't even rolled that blog out, dude. Like I've got it on the website, but like that's kind of what I was talking about. Like I was been trying to dial the studio and to be 100% what I want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting the live stream work like now, like I said, like I'm gonna have to upload this video later, and that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing on the audio starting after next week. I do have to strip the audio off to put on the website,
Mm-hmm.
but that saves time. Hiring somebody to edit all my videos that I do need edited saves time. And really what I'm trying to clear up a ton of time for is to fucking write, dude.
Yeah.
Here's my master's thesis already. Martial arts related. Let's see, what is the official title? It's a long one. Modern martial arts and the reinvention tradition.
Damn, your thesis is a book.
It is, right? And two, like where I stopped it, I brought it right up to Brazil and the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Like I talked about how and when and why judo went to Brazil, because it's part of something called the Gentleman's Agreement in history, where basically there was an agreement between the United States government and Japan that the Japanese would no longer migrate to the Western coast.
Yeah.
Right. And this is just a couple of years after this, the whole chapter about this, that Teddy Roosevelt was doing judo in the basement of the White House, bringing in, like, putting judo, like, masters teaching at West Point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like this close to becoming like an American military tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then all of a sudden, like, it stops, but you fast forward into World War II. Those same people who had already migrated, that were even not first generation, but second, third generation of living there, were rounded up and put in, like, concentration style camps, like internment camps.
Yeah.
Forced to pick cotton in Arkansas, dude. Forced to pick cotton. Jerome and Rower, Arkansas. George Takei, Mr. Sulu from Star Trek, was one of those people, right? So I teach about this in Arkansas history.
Yeah.
And but so what happened is they diverted immigration to Brazil.
And so that's why judo went there.
Yeah, and then that guy had come here in 1905 and done some of the original judo demonstrations with this other guy that taught at West Point, Yamashita. And he ended up going as a part of, I think it was 1911, if I'm not mistaken, to this colony that Japan had set up in Brazil. And that guy ended up teaching the Gracie brothers.
Wow.
Right. Like, so, but I did not go to that last little sentence I just said. Like, I'm like, that's another chapter. Right. And then that goes into, UFC 1 to now to ESPN. Right. So that's kind of what I want to do, is expand that. That's why I've got that bound copy right there, because and I've got my friend Thurman, and I got a couple of friends looking at that and just being like, tell me everything that's stupid about it. Like, what I need to change. Like, and then I'm going to get more precise of, like, there's one chapter in particular I want one of my history mentors to look at when I do start revising it. Because I have to do what I'm talking about, I have to revise it to reflect all that shit I just said that I haven't mentioned. Because it's not mentioned throughout, and it would need to be added to the introduction.
Right.
The conclusion would change. And
that's one good thing about my buddies that I'm close with, that I write together with. We don't write jokes for each other, but anytime we have an idea, we will call, and either we'll meet up and physically sit down and work it out together, where I'm like in the room with them delivering the joke, or we'll be doing it on the phone. Because on the phone, it's brutal when you're like, here comes something funny, huh? And then they're not laughing, and it's just dead silence on the phone. It really sucks. But with them, what I like is we all respect each other as artists enough that we can be like, that sucks. You're better than that. You can. That's a weak idea. Because like I had an idea where I was wanting to build up like the scenario of a deer getting gut shot, and it's like this horrific thing that happens in hunting, and it's real. And at the end of it, the punchline was like, doesn't that make you so happy? Like, if you ever had a deer jump out in front of your car, doesn't that make you so happy? Like, and that was the juxtaposition, is this horrific suffering thing. It makes you happy. It was the joke I was going for. And one of the things in there was the deer collapsing from exhaustion. Like, I had a placeholder of like Michael Jackson at a sleepover, which, okay, it's kind of funny, but A, it's not relevant, and B, like, one of my buddies, he was like, you can do better than that. And so I'm currently trying to find a better punchline there for that. And that's one good thing about having people like that that can revise your work, that you admire and respect, they're not worried about hurting your feelings, and they're just going to give you their honest opinion. That's so valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. And too, honestly, like,
and especially if you can separate yourself from it to where you can be like, because especially if you work hard on something, it's really easy to get personally attached to it. But if you can remove yourself from that and be like, just like you said, you're like, which, I mean, it may not be as big a deal for you as a martial artist, because a martial artist, you have to do that on a daily with everything that you're doing. It's, get
Yeah,
killed in the gym.
it is. It's just I need to kind of shift the way I look at writing to be similar to how I look at producing other content.
Yeah.
Right. Like I did like exactly what you're talking about with your jokes or whatever. I get hung up on the refinement process
Mm-hmm.
of like, oh, this is not done yet.
Yep.
But it will be someday. Right. Like I was joking with somebody the other day. I was like, yeah, as soon as I get my next pedal, that's when I'll find my sound.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, but I gotta get that first. Like it's coming together.
Yeah.
But not yet. I have like literally, I don't even want to buy any more pedals because I'm like, oh, I bought all the pedals I ever wanted. Like now, but now I just like, okay, I know what the options are, but it just never really quite works out. Like you never magically find your sound.
Mm-hmm.
You already have it. Like
Right.
that's the thing. Like I could, but I just need to get, like when I was talking to Hannah about this last night. Like when she's going to graduate school, and she's like, how am I gonna read all these books? I was like, you don't do it. You skim them, like, and everybody knows it. Like, here's how you skim.
Yeah.
And I just like went into it with her, and then I was like, or you do an audiobook if it's available. You listen to this, because there's no way that you can read 30 books in a semester and do your other shit.
Right.
Because like like if you take 2 readings courses at once in history, you'll be like having a book review due for each course every week for the entire semester. Right. So I need, like, in their 2 pages.
Yeah.
So like, honestly, what I need to do is I need to go find all my book reviews, touch them up, and release them on the blog. I need to go write the book reviews of and I just get hung up too. I'm like, well, I want to do a blog about the top 10 and then do one about the top 10. Like, like where I have it all planned out, and it's just like, well, I got to write that one before I can write that one, before I can write that one, before I can, it's just like, and but I just need to get better at like, look, like, fucking every Friday I drop a book review. It's 2 pages. Like, what the fuck? What was the thesis? What did I think about it? How's the book laid out? Did I like it? Was I critical of it in some way? That's nothing. It's 5 paragraphs, but it is a disease to like, it's weird. Like some other people, like with you, it's jokes. With me, it's this or a book or a blog, but with other people it's music. It's writing original songs, right? And for me it's a little bit with everything, but less so with doing like this podcast or the gym shit. It's just like I just
specifically with the jokes, like it's so cool when those moments, because like I spend so many hours of my time writing and getting nothing out of it, or I say getting nothing. We're getting nothing directly from my writing that's going to be used on stage that night. And it's just like 90% of it is just thoughts on paper, just to get the thoughts out of the way so the idea can come. But when it finally does come, it's so cool because like, I don't know how it happens. I don't know why I thought of that. I don't know why it works. I don't know how to recreate it every time. It just happens. You have to show up. If you show up, eventually it'll happen. And when that happens, it's a magical moment. It's really rewarding.
I mean, dude, that's funny because everybody that continues to do jiu-jitsu, I heard 2 other, like a purple belt and maybe a black belt, Brandy, I think it was, say this recently, but 2 people within the last week were like, yeah, just keep coming to class.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, it's not even the answer you want to hear. It's probably like, probably when you talk about to some of these comedians that are ahead, they probably tell you shit you already know that you're already doing.
Yeah.
Right. That you may get something from it. But for me in the past, it's like, well, I'm doing the right things. Like, I just gotta
for me, I see it when younger comics come up to talk to me, because now I'm in a position where for the first time in my career, I'm one of the OGs in the scene, because a lot of the other comics have moved off. We've got a lot of new guys. and they're kind of like, well, what do I need? And a lot of what I tell them is like, just keep showing up, man. Like that's literally all you can tell them. It's like you just have to keep doing it. You're going to learn all these lessons, but it's just going to be time, and you come and put an effort in.
It's too, something I hear Joe talk about a lot that I have this now too, but it's like just over the last couple of years, it's like, and I need to again build other things into it, but just like routine, like okay, I get up at 4, I exercise at 5, I get my shit together from 4 to 5. It takes that long, like, and then 10 minutes to the fitness center, right? But just like that routine of here's when you do this, and I think when you are mindful and you're focused on building that shit in, that it becomes like what I need to do. And again, clearing time up is part of it. Is build time in to write every day. Every writer I've ever talked to writes every day, no matter what.
Yep.
Like in all the ones I've talked to, and I want to do a series of podcasts just over writing with all these different people, and just kind of package them all together. And have had most of these people on already, but everybody kind of has their own tips, thoughts, suggestions. And I think we've probably talked about it every time you've been on it. Like it's fascinating to think about, just like, oh, what, dude? How do you do it? Okay.
Yeah. The weird thing about writing for me is when I'm doing it in the process of it, I always feel like I'm terrible, and I always feel like I'm not good. And then I look back though on like, say, look, I just did this last week where I look back, and in January, since January, I've got like 6-7 new minutes that are brand new from then. And it's like, I feel like I don't ever feel day to day like I'm any better than I was the day before, but I know showing up is making me better. Because if I look in the past and see where my act has gone from, or like where like the laughs are, to where like, oh, I got a little laugh here, a little laugh here. It's like, no, now I got to pop here. Now I got to pop here. And I've noticed that with other comics too. And with their writing, it's like we always feel bad about it, but you can always tell who's doing it because you just look at their set grow, just any space length of time, go from like January to now, or so-and-so to so-and-so. Like you can tell who's putting the work in.
Dude, and too, like storing all this shit. There's so much refinement I need to go do to, like, I've created so many documents. Just if you looked at like my notes for the classes I teach, like I've been going through and like pulling it all back in, and like, oh, okay, well, why aren't those 5 bullet points in this? Like,
yeah,
move it over, delete this document. We don't need it anymore. But just like synthesizing information from different documents across time is like, all right, yeah.
Scrivener is what I use.
Oh,
so
okay,
that's I heard about it on Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, I've heard it. I don't think I've ever used it though.
Yeah, it was originally designed for like screenwriting, but it's like got a corkboard that you can drag and drop ideas on, and you can click into it and get like blown up like documents right in it.
Mind map, yeah.
And then you can move them, and the whole document will move with it. And so like if you move something on the corkboard, everything in it, and you can look at it all as one written out document, or you can look at it in its infinitely however many subsets you want. It's great.
Dude, I will say the biggest game changer for me, I like Word. Is Office 365 with the OneDrive cloud storage. I use that for work.
I use that for all of my. I use OneDrive for all my recordings.
Yeah.
So I upload all of my voice. I used to film every set, and that got to where it was just taking up too much memory on my phone and stuff, and I didn't have enough time to backlog it on my PC. So now I'm doing audio recordings, and then if I have like an important set or something's going to sell out, then I'll video record.
You know what I've done in the past to mitigate that for seminars?
What?
With my phone's been full. Go on Facebook, create a private group that you're the only person in there, right? Live stream from your phone instead of recording into the group, and then you download it later.
Okay.
Right. I'm sure you could do it on YouTube too, but like I have a group that I created for a couple of people I've done privates with where they will film the private or we'll film the techniques we did at the end, and they will put it, I will put it in there for them. Like it's just part of the, here you go, boom.
Yeah.
but that's beneficial for review. Well, that's what we're kind of talking about is going back and looking at your shit and being like, oh fuck, okay, I'm reviewing this and I'm gonna move it around.
Mm-hmm.
That's like jujitsu. I encourage all my students to do that, and I do it myself. I can't tell you how many times I've all this shit,
Yeah, that's a
over and
good
over
idea.
and over, and it's just like when I go back to it, I'm like, okay, I need to change this, I need to move this around, right? But it's introspection there as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's seeing yourself do shit. That's like shadow boxing in the mirror. You're like, why am I punching over there?
Yeah, that's the way it is watching the set. It's so cringy especially on stage. It always feels better on stage than the recording. So when you come off stage, like, man, that was a good set. I could feel it. That they were really feeling me. Then you go back and listen to the recording, and you're like, oh, I fucked up there, and it sucks, but it's the only way to get better. You have to do it, and so you have to just eat that feeling and just suck it up and know, okay, it sucks now, but the fact that I realize it sucks, and I learned this listening to a Kobe interview, Kobe Bryant.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. So he's like, every time he would make a mistake, he said he taught himself to make it made him happy. Like he changed his mind to where I now know a place where I can improve. That makes me happy. And trying to come at it from that angle versus the whole depraved artist thing, which is like, oh, I'm suck, I'm terrible, I'm blah 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 blah. Which is cool because and I also heard this perspective. It's not that you suck; it's that your skill doesn't match your taste yet. You just have to get the skill up to the point where it matches your taste, and then roll with it.
Yeah. Which is all a very stressful process.
But it's fun.
That's like everything you're talking. Like I think that's like the when we engage with this shit, we're like,
yeah. But I feel like any skill worth pursuing has it. I feel like people in jiu-jitsu have it, musicians. I feel like somebody like if plumbing's their passion and like they're trying to be like a master plumber, I feel like they go through the same thing where
it's like that. Yeah. We talked about half a dozen different things that it's like that. Making music, comedy, podcasting, jiu-jitsu. Like it's just that's why Jeff Woods, when he started training jiu-jitsu, was like, yeah, like I'm and all the stuff he had undertaken, and he'd even earned a black belt in Taekwondo. It's like he was the teacher, he was he was 40 when he started training, 38 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But he just was looking to be a student again.
Mm-hmm.
And like me too, like I want, like with the guitar lessons, or I haven't done anything to follow through with this yet, but I want to learn how to draw.
Mm-hmm.
Not like on a computer, like just freehand draw shit. Honestly, I've always had a fascination with that, and I just never cultivated.
Mine is I want to learn how to dance,
like Mark Wahlberg and other guys.
Like think more like I don't know, like when you go to like a club or something and the circle breaks out and there's always the one dude like popping and locking, and I wanted to be able to do that so bad.
Like Starsky and Hutch, you remember
that? Yeah. Because I always want to be like, I want to look like I have no idea how to dance, and then nobody expects it, and then just break it out. Like I always, like you see that in movies and stuff. I always thought that was really, really cool.
Dude, yeah. Do you remember there was a dance-off scene in one of I think it was American Pie 3.
Yeah.
With Stifler.
Yeah.
And hilarious. But yeah, that shit's always be funny.
That's the crazy thing about my roommate. Like I said, he's a comic, but he's also a competitive dancer, and he's blind as shit. Like he's got to have a cane everywhere he goes. And so he's always dancing like nobody's watching because he can't see them watching. And so we'll be at the grocery store or something getting groceries, and he's just dancing through the aisles, and everybody's staring at him. He don't care. He's just having a good time.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like with I thought about this earlier, but with your friend who's blind, or people that are hearing impaired, whatever it is, like me being in education,
mm-hmm.
like accessibility is becoming more and more of a thing. I think about that more and more because when you mention it, I'm like, what if he was my student?
Yeah,
we would be fine. because I produce so much audio content,
Yeah.
you know. But
He's no
that's
scrub on the mat. He's a blue belt. His dad was an
oh,
MMA,
nice.
and like now getting a hold of you, it takes him a second. But if he gets a hold of you,
That some
he's not dumb.
judo people are. There's some sick judoka that are blind. I've
Yeah.
seen them at the tournament in Dallas that we went to, and too there was a blind person also at the AGF, the last AGF.
Mhm.
They let him start with grips,
Yeah.
which I think that's fine. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's opened my eyes a lot to like just being friends with him, seeing like different stuff that he has to go through. And he pisses everybody off because he's like real good looking, handsome dude. He's blind and he's always in the best mood. He's in a better mood than anybody there, and it just makes people frustrated. And it's funny to see because like people be having a good time or complaining about something. Oh, I got to do this or I got to do that, and it's like, yeah, you could be blind, and he's sitting here having a better time than anybody.
That is interesting.
And he like I'm gonna say he's inspiring, but he's got a whole bit about how he hates being called an inspiration. It's
Yeah.
pretty
Oh, I
funny.
bet he does have a good
He's
angle,
funny.
a good angle on things. What's his
Yeah.
name?
Zane Lovelady.
Oh yeah, maybe I saw him on the live feed or something. I think I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
He's the one that started Scoundrels with me. He's a pretty good dude.
Yeah, no, I saw that name pop across here. I still haven't figured out what all this thing does. Oh, we got a love from Zane Love Lady. Got the little heart.
Oh hell yeah. What's up, buddy?
There. Yeah. I don't know if he's still listening.
He's answering phones at Dillard's right now. So he's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
got one headphone in.
Oh yeah.
He produces a show we do. He got it started at MFP. It's right off of Camp Robinson. It's a bar show. It's a good time. That's the crazy thing is like since we started doing this, we're trying to get it where we have a show every night of the week because we're just trying to work as much as we can to get as good as we can because we realize that we're not at the level we need because at the end of the day, if I'm doing a show in a town and say Chappelle walks into town or Rogan walks into town or somebody else is doing a show, who are you going to pay money to see? Like I want to be good enough putting out something that's quality enough to compete with all of that. So we're just every day trying to get better. And that's how we're doing it right now is trying to find businesses and get shows every night of the week, which makes me, like you were talking about earlier, being busy. Like I'm always busy, but also I've never been happier. Like I'm fulfilled.
You can't achieve the dream without it.
Right.
It's one of the ingredients. Yeah, for sure. Like that's the cost. It's like getting your black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like you really use up your youth and your health and all of these things, but you get this invaluable skill in exchange that you don't need those things to have that skill.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's interesting. It's a trade. Like I'm like, as I got to be about 28 and I've been training for like almost 10 years, I started being like, because I didn't get my black belt till almost 11 and a half years in. And I was just like, all of this, like, damn. Like I wasn't thinking about not training or anything. I was just like, but it's like, I'm not even going to be young when I achieve this. Like I'm not going to be old, but like I thought about that with Todd Snyder last night. I'm like, this dude's been doing this forever. Like he's literally been playing this bar since the 90s. Like, and he sold out tonight, but that's because of so much hard work and consistency and showing up and overcoming and having bad times and doing it anyway.
That's one thing I thought of the other day was that like when I first got into this, I didn't like I knew the time, but I didn't know the time that it takes to go from open mic or trying for the first time to being a world-class headliner. And like I heard like, oh yeah, hear people say it takes 15 years. I didn't know what 15 years was until like I said, I'm at 4 years in and I'm just now hitting me like, oh, I've got a long way to go.
Dude, I just started saying this. It's been 15 years since I graduated high school.
Yeah.
Which is like fucking weird to say.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. But I'm 34 now. I just turned 34 in April. And it's weird. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for almost 15 years. It's like Really, dude, it was to talk about this sometimes. The emptiest moment ever is when like I achieved all of the short term shit. I'm like, oh, jiu-jitsu black belt, full time college historian. My gym's huge. Like I got the body. Like da 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 da. Like, fuck, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like like literally, it's like you got everything you ever wanted going, and it's just popping off. And it's like you feel inclined because you're so in the habit of like achieving, working, grinding, trying to get there that it's like I used to apply it with something else, I guess. Start over with drawing.
Well, I'm fortunate that I get to start over in Little Rock and, like I said, try to build something here. And it's been really cool to be like at Cregan's because that's the bar where I do that show on Mondays. And I pop in during the week, just, say hi to the employees, say hi to the bartenders and stuff. I'm friends with all of them and be sitting there hanging out. And then they'll get a call on the bar phone like, hey, is the comedy show going on Monday? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's happening Monday at 8 o'clock. And it's just the word getting out. And you just be sitting there and hearing it's like, oh, I must be doing something right. Like, it's the fact that people are calling into the bar asking about it. Like, hey, when can we come see it? So, because my thing right now, my biggest goal is to be word of mouth funny. Like, you can put stuff on the internet, you can do whatever, but there's nothing like a recommendation if one of your really good friends comes up and goes, dude, you've got to check this guy out. Like, if somebody that you really trust and is a really good friend comes and goes, hey, this guy's putting out quality work, that's when people start to want to.
That's why we do so well here.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, because everybody, like, with the different things we offer, everybody's like, hey, you want to go with me to yoga and you got this new Pilates class, you want to get on the list for that? Yeah. Like, just everybody's like bringing a friend, telling somebody who tells somebody. It just is a chain reaction like that. But for sure, I mean, that's networking, I guess.
I had, for the first time, it's happened twice this year, once in Memphis and once in Northwest Arkansas in Springdale. But I went to a show and the host didn't know me, like we hadn't met, but he goes, oh, I know that guy. Like, I've heard of that guy. Like he's coming up next. I've never worked with him, but I've heard of this guy. And so, like, little things like that I'm starting to hear, it reaffirms, like, okay, hard work's paying off. Keep working. Don't stop. Like, you're doing the right things.
That's all you can do. Like, what else are we going to do?
I mean, I'm going to be here anyway. Might as well have fun. Time's going to pass regardless.
Yeah, for sure. Chris Howder, the spike belt, he says this, you could be doing anything in 10 years. Why not be a jiu-jitsu black belt? Or anything. Like, it's, you apply to anything, So, well, dude, let's go ahead and wrap it up, man. I'm gonna go let my dog out before I teach Thai boxing here in a little bit.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it, man.
Anytime, dude.
I'm telling everybody about it. Like,
thanks, man.
All the comics and stuff down there, I've been telling them about it.
Dude, shoot me. I would love to have some more people on, especially over the summer.
Absolutely. I'll shoot you their names.
Zane, send me anybody's names. They can come in digitally. They can come to the studio. We could do you and somebody else if you want to come together. Do you have anything other than your Facebook page? I put that in the
so now I'm also running on same on every social media. It's called Scoundrels Live Stand Up, and that is where that's all the shows that Zane and I produce. So we're putting everything from Conway, like we got some stuff in Northwest Arkansas that we're about to start doing, everything that we're doing in Little Rock. Eventually we're going to be working. I've talked to Rufus a little bit. He's the guy that books here at Old Bank.
I saw you over there. I saw you post over there.
Yeah, I popped in and did a set with Dre one night there. But we're going to try to get shows producing all over Arkansas. Our goal right now is to get a chain of shows that we can have people come through, like LA, Chicago, Atlanta, come through Arkansas and do a whole run through it.
Dude, once we get more casinos.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be – because it's like the one over at Siloam Springs. I was thinking about this earlier. Theo Vaughn, Brian Cowan, Brendan Schwab, all have been there. Yeah. And many others too. Yeah. River Spirit. I remember last time I was there, Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's his name. They were playing, they're performing there together. So, yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. But yeah, follow me on Scoundrels Live Stand Up or at Bair the Comic, and I share all of my show stuff there. And if you're in Little Rock, I'm probably performing the night you're there. I promise, somewhere.
Corey and I'll come see you soon, dude.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. Bro.
I will send you the link for that show.
Yeah. Signing off, guys.